The scene is set at a busy industrial harbor with a clear sky and mountains in the distance. Stacks of brightly colored shipping containers dominate the background, resting on the dry, dusty ground of the port. In the foreground, a small wooden dock juts out into the blue water, where a white speedboat is moored, suggesting a possible escape route or arrival point for a high-stakes meeting. The scene shifts to Mu Si-chuan standing beside a woman with pink hair, both facing the person on the phone. The woman interjects, stating her own terms. "I want to see my brother. If I don't see him, I won't bring money." However, Mu Si-chuan's voice bubble seems to come from the person they are negotiating with, who responds with the further personal demand. "You stop there. Let her personally bring money for me," referring to the pink-haired woman. A man in a suit, identified as Mu Si-chuan, stands near a wooden mooring post, holding a phone to his ear. He appears calm yet serious. The person on the other end of the line challenges him with a sharp retort. "Mu Si-chuan, you really don't need the life of your brother?" This reveals that the man's brother is being held hostage. The man, Mu Si-chuan, answers the demand while his hand rests on the thick rope wrapped around the mooring post, perhaps reflecting his emotional tension being kept under control. He delivers his counter condition for the exchange. "This is the amount that you want. The thing must let he go first. Otherwise, forgive me cannot meet your requirements." He is demanding the release of his brother before handing over the ransom. Mu Si-chuan puts his arm around the woman, holding her protectively. He looks at her with a loving expression before addressing the person on the phone, definitively refusing to comply with the sacrifice. "And about Kaka, she is the one I love. You think I will sacrifice her just because a younger brother with same father, different mother?" This confirms the woman's name is Kaka and establishes that the person being held is only his half-brother, making a clear statement about his priorities in this perilous situation. The perspective shifts back to a closer look at Mu Si-chuan and Kaka. She is holding his phone, but the dialogue box seems to be Ding Hongtao's voice, accusing Mu Si-chuan of insincerity. "Mu Si-chuan, do not pretend. I will not be fooled you." He is clearly suspicious of Mu Si-chuan's actions and motives regarding his half-brother. Kaka, the woman with pink hair, is shown in a close-up, looking distressed yet defiant, while Mu Si-chuan's hand is reassuringly on her shoulder. The kidnapper's voice bubble looms over them, delivering a brutal ultimatum. "If not you care your brother, you will come here personally? Let money and that girl stay there. Otherwise, I will immediately sever the arm of your brother." The demand has escalated to not only keeping Kaka and the money, but also threatening physical harm to Mu Si-chuan's half-brother. Mu Si-chuan looks up with a sharp, piercing gaze, addressing the antagonist by name. "Ding Hongtao, what do you want to hold my woman for?" This reveals the identity of the person orchestrating the situation, Ding Hongtao, and confirms Mu Si-chuan's priority is the safety of Kaka. The scene cuts to the kidnappers, a worried-looking man in a flowery shirt with red hair, likely Ding Hongtao, and a tense man with blue hair. The central figure on the phone expresses his shock and concern. Unexpectedly, Heave investigated our identify. What to do? The threat from Mu Si-chuan's side is working, causing panic among the criminals. The blue-haired accomplice, however, remains belligerent, shouting, "Mu Si-chuan, just wait." The focus is on the distraught man on the phone, possibly Ding Hongtao, with his bodyguards around him. He's talking into the phone, revealing the original plan has failed due to the identification. Originally wanted to keep that woman to cancel the trace. This indicates that Kaka was intended to be a human shield or a distraction to erase their tracks, a plan now ruined since Mu Si-chuan has already discovered their identity. Ding Hongtao, with a mocking grin, taunts the injured half-brother. "Look at the woman you used your life to protect. Now she's happy with another man." This suggests the hostage may have previously had feelings or a protective interest in Kaka, which Ding Hongtao is now exploiting to hurt him. The full confrontation scene is revealed. Mu Si-chuan and Kaka stand together on a dock or ship, facing the kidnappers. Musi-chan's half-brother, his hands tied with rope, is standing among the criminals. Ding Hong Tao is preparing to hand over a briefcase, presumably the ransom money, setting the stage for the tense exchange. A close-up of the injured hostage's face, bandaged and bloodied, shows him internally shouting his own defiance and independence. "Damn it, I'd rather die, not need you to save." He is angry that Musi-chan and Kaka are getting involved in his rescue. We finally see Musi-chan's half-brother, the hostage, thinking to himself. Though we cannot see his face fully, his thoughts reveal a plan of cooperation and feigned insignificance. Musi-chan has definitely prepared this plan. I have to work with them to last the time, making the kidnappers believe that I am not important. Back on Musi-chan's side, he expresses a calculated, almost cynical thought about his half-brother's situation. Although I also hope he gets into trouble, but unfortunately his father wants to save him. How? Receive money, then let him go? This confirms his personal lack of affection for his half-brother, making his public rescue efforts purely for their father's sake, or as a part of a larger plan. Musi-chuan stands close to Kaka, his hand firmly resting on her shoulder, a silent promise of protection as the exchange is about to begin. Surrounded by his group, Ding Hong Tao questions the situation's reality. "I heard that two of them didn't get along, didn't expect that the truth, but why I still felt something was wrong." He senses the tension between the brothers is genuine, yet suspects Musi-chuan's sudden show of concern. An accomplice interrupts the phone call, demanding the physical cash. "Bullshit, bring the money to here," contradicting the previous command and suggesting internal panic or a change of plan. Another kidnapper, Dai Ding, urgently calls for the money transfer. "Hello, I am Dai Ding. I want to ask you to check the amount, then find a way to transfer it to my account. Takes 3 hours? No way. Do it by all means, no matter the high payment fees." The gang is prioritizing the money transfer speed. A dramatic split panel shows the profiles of Musi-chuan and the half-brother, both with determined looks. The thought bubble hangs over them. Can't be delayed anymore. The time for action has arrived. A sudden inner monologue or a covert signal goes off. It is now. The moment to act has arrived, interrupting the tension-filled silence. The foot of a man, clad in a sleek black dress shoe, presses down onto the soft, grainy sand. He is near the shore, but his attention seems to be elsewhere, perhaps focused on the coming confrontation. The stage is set. With an explosive burst of speed and power, the man, dressed sharply in a coat and white shirt, delivers a swift and powerful kick. His leg is fully extended, connecting with the surprised opponent. A cloud of sand, dirt, and perhaps something else erupts from the impact. A woman watches in the background. The force of the kick is fully shown. The man's body is balanced and taut as he uses his height to launch the attack, scattering a shower of particles. The victim of the kick, clad in a red and black plaid shirt, reels from the sudden blow. The scattering particles, presumably sand or a prepared blinding agent, hit their mark. A group of men, including the one who was kicked, cover their faces, shouting in pain and outrage. "Fucking, you dare to play sneak us!" and "Ah, my eyes!" The surprise attack was a success, leaving the opponents temporarily incapacitated. The man in the red plaid shirt, recovering from the initial surprise attack, crouches low and braces himself for the next move. He is ready to fight back against the assailants, who are now advancing on him. Kick. The plaid shirt man springs into action, delivering a fierce side kick to one of the larger opponents, sending him flying and his face contorted in pain from the impact. The fight is now fully underway. The girl with pink hair, previously watching from the side, shouts an urgent command. "Untie me! Hurry!" She is apparently bound, and the situation demands that her companion, who is now engaged in a life-or-death struggle, free her immediately. An immediate, decisive action is taken. A hand swiftly brings a knife down to cut the thick rope binding the girl, or perhaps the plaid shirt man himself, setting the stage for her to potentially join the fray or escape. The large, tattooed opponent, now with a noticeable bruise on his face, looks enraged. Damn it! he snarls, pulling out a large, gleaming knife as he prepares to escalate the confrontation. The situation has become much more dangerous. The man in the suit, Sichuan, is not unarmed. He aims a futuristic-looking pistol forward. A close-up reveals an ankle holster and a hidden gun strapped to his leg, confirming he is ready to use lethal force. Before the thugs can react to the knife or the gun, the large tattooed man who just drew his weapon cries out, "Ah!" and shouts "Master" as he clutches his chest. He has been hit by a bullet from the suit-wearing man's pistol. The remaining assailants look stunned and furious as they see their ally fall. One of them shouts, "Do not let them escape!" They realize the tables have turned and are determined to continue the fight. The pink-haired girl, eyes wide with terror, sees a red laser dot on the back of Sichuan's suit jacket. "Sichuan, watch out!" she screams, realizing a new hidden enemy has entered the fight with a sniper rifle. A sharp, panicked cry slices through the air. A young man in a red and black plaid shirt is seen with a look of intense anger and alarm, his eyes wide. "Brother!" he yells, a feeling of desperation clear in his shout, directed at someone just out of frame. The immediate danger seems to have subsided for a moment. The agitated brother in the plaid shirt is now supporting the man he cried out to, presumably his older brother, who looks pale and slightly injured, resting against him. Despite the situation, the injured man attempts to reassure him. "Brother, I am fine. Must leave here quickly." The urgency, however, is palpable. The danger is far from over. A young woman with pink hair carrying a briefcase takes the lead. She shouts a warning to her companions who are running beside her. "They have guns! Run quickly!" The three figures, the girl and the two brothers, are making a frantic escape across a wooden deck, with shipping containers visible in the background, suggesting they are at a port or dock. The chase moves to the water. The red-haired gunman, still on the deck, fires his weapon at a speedboat speeding away across the bright blue sea, leaving a long trail of white wake. The man in the yellow shirt yells, "Stop, now!" while the gunman grits his teeth. "Damn it, you dare to run!" The escaped group must have just boarded the boat, barely making their getaway from the armed pursuers. The pursuers are closing in. On the deck, one of the antagonists, a man with bright red hair wearing a dark floral patterned shirt, raises a handgun and takes aim at the fleeing group. Another man in a yellow shirt stands ready. The speedboat cuts violently through the waves. The motion is intense, and a massive wall of white foaming spray erupts high over the side of the boat, suggesting a sharp turn or extreme speed as they attempt to evade the gunmen. Back on the speeding boat, the group is in distress. The man in the suit, likely the older brother, is leaning heavily on the other brother, the one in plaid, his face looking pale and strained with a painful reddish-purple hue around his eyes. The pink-haired girl is pressed against them. The older brother lets out a sharp cry of pain. "Ah!" The danger remains close. The perspective shows the stern of the boat where the sparkling blue water is being violently churned. In the distance, two smaller box-like boats or objects are visible on the horizon. Perhaps the pursuers or another threat. Or maybe the boats of their arriving allies. Relief finally arrives. Still supporting his brother, the younger man looks out with a mixed expression of weariness and hope. He announces an important turn of events. "Our people have arrived. Are you okay? Are there any injuries?" The accompanying text, "Fall down," overlaid on the image, suggests that the danger or the intense physical strain is finally causing the injured brother to collapse, even as help is nearing. The younger brother in the plaid shirt is completely distraught by his sibling's sudden pain. He clutches his brother tightly and cries out in fear and concern. "But, brother, are you okay? Don't scare me." He desperately wants confirmation that his brother is all right after the close call and possible injury. In a moment of defiant levity, the injured brother, Sichuan, manages a faint smirk despite his pain and blood-stained face, and offers a teasing challenge. "Call me brother 2 more times, even if I'm dying, I'll be alive again." He continues to hover over his brother, repeating his distressed call. "But brother..." The pink-haired girl, clearly worried and addressing an unseen ally, Zikin, reveals the grim truth. "Zikin, Sichuan is really being injured. He was hit by bullets and bled a lot of blood." A chilling dark red stain confirms the severity of his wound at the bottom of the panel. The younger brother, stunned by his sibling's resilient but reckless remark, looks at him and repeats the title with renewed shock and affection. "Brother?" The next day. The next day begins in a calm, indoor setting. The pink-haired girl, having survived the ordeal, stands facing a group of new, well-dressed male characters. She stares at one of them with intense surprise and confrontation, demanding, "Why are you also here?" The sudden appearance of a new figure signals the beginning of the next chapter of conflict or intrigue. The room is crowded with visitors standing by the injured older brother's bedside. The pink-haired girl is now facing the man she just questioned, a blonde man in a white and black outfit with a large Red Cross emblem. The injured brother is visible on the bed. A smaller girl kneels in prayer by the bedside. One of the other female visitors, a girl with light blonde hair pulled into pigtails, dressed in an orange sweater, looks at the pink-haired girl with clear disdain and jealousy. The thought bubble reveals her inner monologue. "This woman, seducing Yi is still not enough? Now even cling to Zikin." This introduces a new layer of romantic and political tension surrounding the pink-haired protagonist. The pink-haired girl, standing within the hospital room, gives a simple but revealing answer to the question. "I am Zikin's friend." This confirms her connection to the person the fleeing group called for help. The blonde man, the one the protagonist confronted, smiles confidently. He makes a direct proposition to the pink-haired girl, mocking the injured man. Look at him, afraid that his beauty has been ruined. "Ha! Follow me and give up man with that outdated beauty. How? Think about it." The pink-haired girl reacts to the blonde man's proposition with a look of severe annoyance and contempt. Her internal thought bubble summarizes her feelings. These guys' thoughts are dirty. What a child. This establishes her resolute, unimpressed character against the backdrop of dangerous rescue and hospital drama. A different man, seemingly Sichuan, the brother in plaid, or perhaps another character who was injured, is now awake in a hospital bed. His face is bruised and bandaged, and he yells angrily, his eyes filled with hostility. "Get out!" Later, the pink-haired girl is alone by the injured man's bedside, who is now Zikin, since he was the one injured in the boat chase. She smiles warmly and touches his cheek, relieved. "Zikin, you woke up." The injured man, Zikin, is seen lying in the hospital bed, covered in the blue blanket. He gives a quiet, muffled acknowledgement to the girl who spoke to him. The young girl in the blue dress is talking to one of the men. She has her hands clasped and a sweet smile, commenting on the social dynamics. Zikin is very rarely laughs. "Sister Kaka is so excellent. You made him laugh a lot." A different man, likely a high-ranking or protective figure, stands with the young girl. He looks back and gives a directive to the others in the room. "Zikin's surgery is done. You two should rest. We go first." This signals the end of the immediate crisis in the next phase of the drama. The scene opens with the woman standing near a window, clearly exhausted. Yawn is the prominent sound effect as she covers her mouth, her eyes squeezed shut, perhaps having stayed up all night worrying or working. She looks weary, but is dressed for the day. A moment of contact. Her hand is now resting on her chest, a gesture of lingering tension or surprise, while a man's hand reaches out from below to gently hold her wrist. This suggests a sudden, tender, and compelling halt to her movement, drawing her attention. An abrupt change. Now, the woman with pink hair is leaning over the man in bed, looking surprised, indicated by the exclamation point speech bubble above them. The man, also in striped pajamas and wearing a small bandage on his face, looks calm and steady, meeting her gaze. She is no longer just standing by the bed, but is now right there, perhaps pulled down into a close moment. The perspective shifts to the man lying in bed, presumably in a hospital or at home recovering, given the context. He is in striped pajamas. The focus is on his forearm and clenched fist beneath the covers. Suddenly, the word pull appears next to a hand, likely hers or an attempt by the man, as the covers and her sleeve are disturbed, indicating a decisive action to bring her closer. The climactic moment. The man and woman are close, forehead to forehead, gazing into each other's eyes. The man gently cups her head, a loving and possessive gesture. He speaks to her, his expression warm and a little mischievous. During the days of arrest, I always thought, if I did not return, would you cry? This reveals the emotional core of the scene, a reunion after a period of intense separation and danger, where he is seeking affirmation of her love and concern. The focus narrows, showing the man's arm wrapped around the woman, pulling her close. The dialogue bubble from the previous panel repeats, emphasizing the apology and the promise not to face danger again. It shows his physical reassurance, but the cropped view suggests the woman's reaction is hidden. Leaning in close, the man, still wearing his striped pajamas and bandages, looks at the woman, his expression a mix of gentle affection and sincerity. He apologizes and makes a promise. "Sorry, Zikin, all are my fault. We will not go to such dangerous places later on, okay?" This apology confirms that his arrest and injuries were related to a dangerous situation, and he is trying to reassure her. The woman's reaction is revealed. She turns away from him, burying her face into the pillow or his shoulder, seemingly trying to hide her face or avoid the conversation. This gesture suggests emotional distress, stubbornness, or confusion in response to his words. She pulls back, her eyes wide, with a look of distress and shock. She pushes her hand against his chest in surprise, shouting her rebuttal. "I don't mean that." Her reaction is intense, suggesting his apology completely missed the true source of her worry or anger. The scene shifts to her inner monologue, revealing her complex feelings as she is held close. She acknowledges his sacrifice. "He, because of helping me, but almost lost his life. I really appreciate him." However, she immediately follows this with the true source of her inner conflict, ending with a deep reservation about commitment. "But that doesn't mean that I'll get married." This thought bubble, bursting with intensity, clarifies that her struggle is not about the danger, but the implication of commitment his sacrifice and apology carry. Seeing her distress, the man attempts a compromise, looking directly into her eyes with a hopeful, yet still controlling gaze. "Not to marry, it's okay, just to be my girlfriend first." The woman is interrupted as she tries to respond, her arms wrapped around him, her dialogue bubble only containing the beginning of a denial. "I am not." The tension is high as he cuts off her ability to refuse. The man's expression darkens as he leans in closer, his tone becoming serious and manipulative. He reveals his leverage. "If you disagree, I will bring the photos that we stayed at the hotel that night to the media." This shocking ultimatum changes the dynamic from a tender reunion to a confrontation. The woman is left lying on the bed, looking distraught. Her inner thoughts reveal her shock and confusion over his coercive tactic. I didn't expect that he could even use this trick. After all, he was deeply in love, or I was so unhappy. Her internal question ends the scene on a note of deep confusion about the true nature of his feelings and her own unhappiness. He rises over her with a stern, imposing look. The word rude highlights the shocking nature of his actions. He gives her a final, non-negotiable demand. I count to 3. If you disagree, I will ask to spread those photos immediately. The pink-haired woman is now visibly panicking, holding a piece of clothing or fabric, her eyes wide with worry. She quickly tries to diffuse the tension and agree to his terms, exclaiming, I agree with you. A thought bubble emanates from her, revealing the heart of her fear and anxiety about the scandal. Her immediate worry is the social fallout. If this gets spread out, then how could I go to school later on? A young woman with vibrant pink hair is close to a bandaged man in bed. She looks surprised. The man, leaning close to her, states, You seem to also understand the problem. He has a smirk on his face. The woman, clearly distraught about the situation he is referring to, thinks to herself, This idiot girl. Sichuan destroyed all the original photos. I don't have any pictures. Just as the tense situation is unfolding, a distraction arrives from outside the room. A foot in a flat brown shoe steps over the threshold of a door. An off-panel voice announces, Zichin, the doctor came to check for you. The doctor, a man in a white coat, and an older woman are standing just inside the door, witnessing the intimate scene. They exchange an embarrassed glance. The older woman coughs awkwardly, quickly deciding to leave the couple alone. We will come back later. You two keep going. With the intruders gone, the woman pulls back slightly, her face flushed with embarrassment, labeled shy. She makes a desperate request to him while he wears a mocking smile, labeled play bad. The woman pleads, Please stand up, likely meaning for him to sit up and release her. Responding to the interruption from outside, image 45 in the previous set, the bandaged man firmly holds the pink-haired woman close and dismisses the visitors, leaning into his act. Embracing the woman, he speaks into the room. Just let them wait. I want to rest with my girlfriend. The man's teasing is met with a sharp physical reaction. The woman, enraged by his shameless behavior, delivers a swift kick. In a burst of righteous indignation, the woman shouts, Ah, shameless, as she lands a kick on him. The man is now sitting up in bed, looking slightly disheveled, but thoroughly amused, bandages still on his face. He is clearly not hurt or upset by the kick. He lets out a loud, mocking, and triumphant laugh. Ha 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 ha! A few days later, a young man named Sichuan arrived outside. A woman with pink hair, seeing him standing there, greeted him warmly. Sichuan, you come to visit Zichin? Why don't you come in? Sichuan turned slightly, a faint, knowing smile playing on his lips, and he posed a question in return. Yingka? The pink-haired woman, Yingka, stepped closer and leaned in to share a piece of information with a conspiratorial tone. Actually, Zichin has been stealthily visiting you these past few days. He's very interested in you. Sichuan's response was swift and confident, cutting her off. He seemed to already know. I know. Hearing his bold declaration, Yinka looked surprised, her eyes wide with shock. So, you two... She trailed off, leaving the implication hanging in the air. Sichuan, nodding in satisfaction, offered some final thoughts before preparing to leave. If harmonized, then that relationship will naturally become better. He gave a wave, so I go first. But just as he was about to depart, another man, Zichin, suddenly appeared wearing striped pajamas. He immediately addressed Sichuan with concern. Brother, is your wound good? Sichuan, smiling reassuringly, responded to the inquiry about his well-being and then turned the question back to the person he was standing with, who appeared to be Yin Ka. "I'm fine. How about you? Does it still hurt?" Yin Ka, still slightly surprised but recovering quickly, shared a hopeful thought about the implications of the brothers' improved relationship. "If the family knows you two have made peace, then they will definitely be happy." Si Chuan, looking at Zi Qin with a warm smile, seemed to misinterpret the situation, assuming the pink-haired woman was his girlfriend. "Zi Qin, you have found a very good girlfriend. Our parents will definitely like her." Zi Qin, his hand resting on the woman's head, simply replied, Yes." The young woman, with her vibrant pink hair pulled up in a messy bun, looks utterly surprised and slightly defensive. Her wide, magenta eyes are fixed on someone off-panel as she addresses them directly. A speech bubble contains her bewildered query. "How do you know? I have yet to schedule the appointment." Her confusion suggests that the person she is speaking to has revealed knowledge about her plans before she even had a chance to finalize them. The focus shifts to the man, who is clearly the source of her surprise. He has dark, stylishly swept hair with silver gray highlights and a smooth, confident smile on his lips. He is wearing a dark jacket over a bright yellow hoodie, giving him a casual yet fashionable look. In his speech bubble, he delivers the explanation with an air of smug satisfaction. "Just now on the way, I called for that guy, sign a contract at 10 a.m. His statement reveals that he took the initiative to manage the appointment, confirming it for 10 a.m., likely preempting her attempt to schedule it herself. The immediate realization of what he has done causes her to react with shock. Her pink eyes are wide, and her mouth is agape in a gasp of utter disbelief. The word surprise is boldly written next to her in a dramatic font, perfectly capturing the intensity of her unexpected emotional response to his action. The scene cuts to a close-up of their intertwined hands as they stand close to the trees. He is holding her wrist firmly, a possessive but gentle gesture. The speech bubble indicates the conversation's continuing, perhaps with a cheeky comment from the man, or maybe an observer, highlighting his impressive move. "You see, your boyfriend has such a good expression." This comment draws attention to the pride or confidence he is displaying, further emphasizing his role as the one taking charge. The perspective widens, showing the couple standing close together beneath the canopy of trees, the dappled sunlight highlighting their intimate moment. The man is leaning down, his gaze intense and slightly predatory as he looks into her eyes. He gently cups her chin with his hand. The girl, with a soft blush dusting her cheeks, looks up at him, still surprised, but now with a hint of anticipation. His speech bubble continues the playful, suggestive tone, implying that he expects a reward for his good deed. "Should you reward something for him?" The final image is a tight shot of their bodies pressed against the rough bark of a tree, reinforcing the intimate closeness of the previous frame. Her hand is resting subtly on his midsection, and his body language suggests he is protectively or possessively leaning over her. The scene ends on this close, personal moment, leaving the reader to wonder what reward she will bestow upon him for his surprising and assertive move. The intimate moment reaches a climax in a sudden close-up. The man leans in, his face only millimeters from hers, their lips just about to meet. The soft lighting and the blush on the girl's face emphasize the heat and intensity of the impending kiss, a direct response to his suggestive request for a reward from the previous scene. However, the moment is immediately broken. The scene pulls back to a wide shot of the sunny sky and the lush green trees, suggesting a sudden pause in the action. A solitary speech bubble floats against the bright expanse, containing a single word of apology from the girl. "Sorry." This indicates she has pulled back, refusing the kiss and creating a distance between them. The girl's action is confirmed as the camera focuses back on the couple. She is now placing her hands flat against his chest, gently but firmly pushing him away. She looks downcast, avoiding eye contact, though a faint blush remains on her cheeks. The man, still smiling confidently, delivers a sigh of playful disappointment in his speech bubble. Still not want? Ah, you're such a little goblin. Don't know when I'll be approved by you. He acknowledges her rejection with a mix of exasperation and continued affection, calling her a little goblin for her resistance. A close-up shot captures the motion itself. Her hands are clearly pressed against his jacket, actively creating distance. The word push is overlaid on the image, dramatically highlighting her decision to physically stop the advance, confirming her refusal to give the reward he was seeking. Seeing her continued reluctance, the man finally relents. His easygoing, confident smile remains, but he speaks a single decisive phrase. Forget it. This statement signals that he is dropping the subject and respecting her boundary, moving past the request for a reward and changing the topic. With the tension diffused, the conversation moves to a different, more practical matter. The man leans in slightly, his expression now one of caring concern. He offers her a solution to a separate problem. Right, if you can't find your wallet, I'll help you redo your ID. Temporarily, if you need to spend money, then just use this card. He is showing an act of unexpected generosity and practicality, providing her with a card for temporary use. However, the girl interjects, her own speech bubble starting. No need, I have... The word refuse is printed in the center of the panel, showing her hesitation and initial attempt to decline his offer, suggesting she is reluctant to take such a significant gift from him. This panel visually confirms the situation, showing the man holding out the black card while the girl looks up at him, still clearly refusing the generous offer. The man, however, is not easily deterred. He delivers a strong counter-argument with a sly, knowing smile, attempting to appeal to her sense of duty as his girlfriend and using a past financial situation as leverage. Spending money from boyfriends is a girlfriend's duty. This is just a small amount, but you refused. Then how could you dare to borrow me that 20 billion? This revelation introduces a massive previous debt, putting her refusal into perspective. Acknowledging the weight of his argument and the favor he has already done for her, the girl finally takes the card, looking slightly resigned but appreciative. She utters a simple, quiet, thanks. The moment marks her acceptance of his help and the implicit acknowledgement of the complex financial relationship between them. A moment of internal thought is shown as the girl clenches her fists. Her thought bubble reveals her determination to repay the colossal debt, stating, "Wait, after paying all for Beiming Ye, I'll find a way to pay him back later." This indicates the severity of the 20 billion debt and her commitment to resolving it, suggesting Beiming Ye is the other party she owes a large sum to. The scene shifts dramatically to a formal office setting. The girl, in a white turtleneck, is sitting across from a man with white hair and glasses, presumably the person she was trying to arrange the 10 a.m. contract with. He presents her with a document and says, "This is the contract I prepared yesterday. You check it if you need to fix it somewhere." This confirms the importance of the contract and the professional nature of her underlying business. The girl, now in profile, reflects internally on the situation. Her thought bubble expresses relief regarding her boyfriend's earlier intervention and the contract status. Fortunately, he didn't because of the business between me and Ziquin that changed his mind about the movie contract. This thought reveals that the initial arrangement was for a movie contract, and the man who helped her, her boyfriend, did not let her business dealings with Ziquin influence his actions, solidifying her trust in him. The story begins in an impressive office, focusing on a silver-haired gentleman in a sharp suit and glasses, holding an open blue file. He is evaluating a young woman's performance, his internal monologue revealing his assessment. Not bad, this girl, since getting acquainted with Ziquin, though she is a bit awkward but still calm, capable of doing big things. He then directs his attention to the document itself, pointing out a specific necessary change to the agreement. He continues, "This clause needs a slight modification. The filming time is within a year." The scene shifts to the young woman who has pink hair tied up and wears a white turtleneck. Her expression is earnest and focused as she accepts the command. I'll fix it right away," she promises immediately. However, the modification presents an unexpected technical challenge. She looks around the office space with a look of mounting worry. Damn, only Bei Mingguan's computer is here. There is no another one, she realizes with a gasp. The internal struggle is clear. But who dares borrow the finance department chief's computer? Despite the difficulty, the task is likely completed, but upon her return, the executive remains demanding. He is seen seated again, delivering a sharp criticism and a new command, his expression one of slight disapproval over a fundamental error. He instructs, "Next times, don't make the basic mistakes that even the extra paper doesn't bring." He then issues a direct order for a complete resubmission. "Prepare a new contract and bring here." The camera focuses on her hand pressing a button on the desk, perhaps to acknowledge the order or call for assistance to begin the task immediately. Her response is crisp and completely deferential. "Yes, sir," she affirms, leaving no doubt about her compliance. The exchange highlights a high-pressure corporate environment where attention to detail is paramount, and even capable individuals are held to the highest standard. The scene is set in a modern executive office where a meeting is underway. 3 individuals are seated around a large, dark table. On the right, a man in a black suit, spectacles, and a tie sits in an authoritative position, while across from him sit a man in a red sweater and a woman in a white turtleneck and purple skirt. The atmosphere suggests a serious business discussion. The female associate, with her distinctive pink hair pulled into a high bun, stands to deliver a critical reminder, holding a blue folder. Her face is set with a serious expression as she speaks to the man in the dark suit. Remember, Nan Gongli is a famous person for being difficult to deal with. This warning establishes the challenging nature of the task ahead. In response to the caution, a determined voice offers reassurance. Although the full speaker is not shown, the speech bubble conveys a firm commitment to finding a solution. "I know I will think of a way." This pledge demonstrates the team's resolve to overcome the obstacle Nan Gongli presents. The male associate, who is actively looking at papers, is the most likely source of this resolve. Just as the meeting should be focused on strategy, the pink-haired associate introduces a sudden, personal distraction. She turns toward the silver-haired man beside her, her expression shifting from focused to slightly anxious. She asks, "Does Nanya remain in Dongling? Just now I just saw the limited edition Barbie that she said she loved it last time, afraid that she was gone, so I want to ask you." This interjection catches the silver-haired man off guard. He is shown with a stack of documents in his hands, clearly preoccupied with the professional discussion. The text overlaid on the image, "Be impatient," captures his internal, irritated reaction to the inopportune personal query about the limited edition Barbie, emphasizing his desire to return to the matter at hand. The scene shifts slightly to include the male character in a red sweater. He questions her statement, looking towards her. Dialogue. "If you have seen it, then why not buy it right away?" The focus is back on the female character as she explains the reason for the delay to the man in the red sweater. Dialogue. "Because I was in a hurry to come here to sign with Mr. Nangang. I was afraid of being late, so I couldn't buy it. But it's okay. After signing, I'll buy it for her right away." A third sharply dressed man with silver hair, glasses, and a black suit sits back and observes the exchange, offering a commentary on the female lead's sharp tactics. Dialogue. "This girl's mind is quite sharp." The female character, with pink hair tied up in a bun and wearing a white turtleneck, expresses a heartfelt wish, looking slightly off camera. Dialogue. "The thing, I see Nyanya really likes this doll. Hope no one has bought it yet. A close-up shot focuses on a hand signing a document with a golden pen, revealing the signature Nan Gong Li. The business matter is being concluded. The contract is finalized. The man in the red sweater, holding the signed papers, gives his permission for her to leave and purchase the item. Dialogue. It's done. You go buy it for her. The man in the red sweater, having given his permission, has an internal monologue as he reflects on the female character's quick thinking. Dialogue. This girl clearly, purposely targets my weakness, the thing, whether it is real or fake, if Nyanya really likes it. The female character, now standing and beaming with a satisfied smile, prepares to leave the office quickly to make her purchase. Dialogue. I will go right now. Be back soon. The female character is now outside the signing room, having changed clothes, and is talking on the phone. She reveals a part of her plan to the person on the other end, possibly an accomplice, while standing near a colleague in a black suit. Dialogue. So about, I lied this time. I only can count on you. The person on the other end of the line, possibly the same colleague or someone else entirely, responds with a hint of exasperation. Dialogue. You only know to exploit. The female character, still on the phone, changes her tone and addresses someone named Nyanya, promising a treat later. This confirms the doll story was related to this person. Nyanya is the best for me. Wait after I get off work, I'll take you out next time. The female character is now holding a binder, possibly at her new workplace, and realizes the interesting proximity of her new job. It's so fast. Beiming Juan has let me work with him. Just, my workplace is a bit near Beiming Yi's office. In an office setting, the female character stands respectfully before her superior. The man in glasses and a suit, who appears to be Beiming Juan, Ye. Is there any problems? The superior's arm is visible as he holds the file she submitted and makes a direct comment about her performance. You work too fast. The female character is shown looking worried and anxious, offering to immediately correct any mistakes she might have made due to her speed. Did I wrong somewhere? Just tell me. I will fix it right away. The superior leans forward and explains his concern, not about the quality of her work, but about workplace politics and perception. Nothing wrong. You work extremely well, but I want to talk to you about rules tacitly at work. Any company wants employees to work hard, but an employee shouldn't show too clearly. He elaborates on his concern, comparing her completion time to that of an experienced employee, implying a potential rush job. An employee with long experience also takes 30 to 40 minutes to handle this job, but it only takes you 20 minutes. If this continues, I can assume that you worked superficially to file for me. He concludes his lecture by advising her not to overdo it, but to always strive for her best, clarifying his expectations for his subordinate. No need to work too fast, but if you're my subordinate, I still hope you try your best at work. The scene is set in an office where Tang Fei, the young woman with vibrant pink hair, is engaging with the male superior. Her expression is one of confident eagerness as she addresses him, stating, "And if I work too well, you can also tell me." Her enthusiasm suggests a strong motivation to succeed and a willingness to accept feedback, whether critical or encouraging. However, the response from her manager is measured. He holds her hands, his posture indicating a serious, perhaps paternal, correction. He warns her against excessive pride, saying, don't be so proud of you still have a lot of stuff to learn. Accepting his words with professionalism, Tang Feifei responds calmly while the manager sits formally behind his desk. She assures him, I got it. If I still have something wrong later on, you just remind me. This exchange concludes the immediate professional discussion. As the workday draws to a close, Tang Feifei, who has changed her hairstyle to 2 neat buns, turns away from the setting with the look of quiet composure. She signifies the end of her duties with the simple statement, "So, the working time is up. See you tomorrow." Moving outside the workplace, Tang Feifei is walking with a female friend. Her friend, with her hair in a high ponytail, is discussing the positive implications of her new professional status. She points out that the control has shifted. This time, Suninhua has no excuse to bully you anymore. All decisions will belong to the corporation in which you work. This dialogue suggests that Tang Feifei's previous troubles with Suninhua were tied to external influences, which are now neutralized by her employment status. Her friend then assesses Tang Feifei's talent and prospects in her career, offering encouragement. She confidently asserts that due to her skills, actually, with Tang Feifei's conditions, the possibility of winning a supporting role is also big. This conversation leaves Tang Feifei on a hopeful note regarding her future in the entertainment or corporate world. As they walk, Tang Feifei appears slightly concerned about her schedule, holding her phone. She mentions other commitments. We will probably be very busy in the next time. I also want to go to school for a driver's license. Maybe I'll use it later on. Her friend then notices the phone Tang Feifei is holding and expresses surprise, recognizing it as an expensive item. Wow, the purple version. This is a limited edition phone. Did ZK give it to you? A bit flustered, with a blush on her cheeks, Tang Feifei tries to explain the source of the phone. Last time I lost my phone, he helped me to redo my SIM card. That's convenient for my work. Her friend, however, reacts with the knowing, teasing giggle. Hee hee hee. Suddenly, the phone rings. A close-up shot shows Tang Feifei's hand holding the distinctive purple phone with musical notes indicating the ringing sound. Tang Feifei answers the call, her surprise evident as she speaks to the person on the other end, who is presumably Zikin. She asks with concern, "Zikin? Didn't you told no need to call me today? How are you? Are you tired?" The scene opens outdoors, set against a backdrop of lush greenery, suggesting a park or school grounds. 2 young women are standing together, both possessing striking features and long flowing hair. One, with lighter auburn hair styled in a ponytail, holds a sleek phone, her expression a mix of surprise and curiosity. She addresses her companion, the one with vibrant pink hair, with a question. "Kaka, who's that?" Her words, presented in a speech bubble, suggest she has just received an unexpected message or notification. The focus shifts to the pink-haired woman's phone, which displays a screen indicating an incoming call. The text on the phone is bold and clear. Strange number. Below the number's placeholder is a prompt. Slide to answer. This is clearly a phone call from an unknown party. However, before she answers or addresses her friend's question, a thought bubble emerges from her side, containing her internal monologue. "Xiang, I am busy a bit." This suggests the caller is Xiang, and the pink-haired woman, despite the urgency of her friend's question and the strange number, is preoccupied or perhaps trying to avoid the call. The tension is immediately established. Is the strange number related to Xiang, or is this an entirely new problem? The pink-haired woman is then shown, now holding the phone to her ear, having seemingly answered the call.
Her face is etched with shock and a hint of fear or deep concern. Her hand instinctively clutches at the bow of her necktie. A speech bubble above her head contains a fragmented whisper, as if she is barely processing the information she's receiving. Mr. Bei Ming. An emphatic, starburst-shaped thought bubble immediately follows, revealing the stunning implication of the call's content. He has returned. This dialogue confirms the caller is relaying momentous news about a significant person named Mr. Bei Ming, news that has clearly unsettled her deeply. The transition from a strange number to the identity of the person on the other end, or the subject of the conversation, has been dramatic. A close-up shot then focuses on the conversation itself. The image centers on a person's cheek and ear, highlighting the seriousness of the call. The person's hand holds the dark smartphone with the in-call screen visible, showing various function icons like microphone, keypad, and speaker. The details are muted, keeping the focus entirely on the act of communication and the intensity of the moment. Finally, the focus shifts to a sophisticated man, presumably Mr. Bei Ming, or someone reporting to him, who is now actively engaged in a phone conversation from the luxury of a car. He is impeccably dressed in a dark suit, tie, and vest, projecting an image of power and urgency. Through the window, the faint background suggests an outdoor setting, likely the school mentioned in his dialogue. His speech bubble is clipped and demanding, giving an order with absolute authority. I'm at the back gate of school, still the same place. I give you 5 minutes. This final panel connects the mystery call to the ultimate conclusion. The pink-haired woman's life is about to be drastically interrupted by this powerful figure who has returned and is now demanding her immediate presence. The clock is ticking.
The mysterious man's urgent command spurred the pink-haired woman into action. The panel focuses on her quick movement toward the waiting vehicle. Her back is to the viewer, showing her distinctive long pink hair flowing behind her as she leans toward a pristine white car, suggesting she is either reaching for the handle or peeking inside. The blurred background hints at the school's setting, confirming the meeting place. With palpable urgency, the scene cuts to her hurried steps. Only her legs and the lower half of the car are visible, emphasizing the speed of her arrival. She is wearing a dark skirt and heels, her foot already poised near the car's door handle, clearly ready to enter the vehicle as quickly as possible. She reaches the car and finds the door open. Inside, sitting comfortably and commandingly, is the man identified as Mr. Bei Ming. He reclined slightly on the beige leather seat, gazing at her with a knowing, almost predatory smirk. His expression is one of calm power, contrasting sharply with the woman's clear anxiety. Without preamble, he issues a stark, immediate instruction. "Come here." Standing outside the vehicle, the pink-haired woman faces Mr. Bei Ming, her expression distressed and desperate. She is visibly shaken, but tries to assert herself, finally giving voice to her intentions and the source of their conflict. "Mr. Bei Ming, I made it clear to you last time. I want to end the transaction. I will pay you tomorrow," she pleads, her voice tinged with finality. The simple text, "shake head," is placed next to her, amplifying her stance. She is refusing his presence and his demand, wanting only to conclude their business. However, Mr. Bei Ming is unyielding. His eyes narrow and the smirk is replaced by a look of stern, intense disapproval. Leaning forward slightly, he delivers his crushing reply, laying out the terms of their agreement in cold, hard terms. "Unpaid, still valid. Now you deny me, that means you violated the covenant." His words confirm the relationship is one of a binding contract or covenant that she attempted to end, and by refusing him now, she is committing a violation. The tension escalates dramatically as she realizes her efforts to escape their transaction have failed.
Realizing she cannot reason with him, the woman makes a last-ditch attempt to evade his control. Looking away from him, she insists she will not enter the vehicle, demanding he speak to her immediately. "I won't get in the car. You can say right now." This defiance pushes Mr. Bei Ming to drop all pretense of negotiation. He steps out of the car and confronts her physically. With a swift movement, he shoves her, the sound effect push accompanying his forceful action. Her face contorts in a cry of surprise and alarm, "Ah!" as she is pushed toward the open car door. The visual narrative then captures the consequence of his force. A close-up shot of the car door shows it being slammed shut with decisive finality, emphasized by the word close and a sharp starburst visual effect, trapping her inside. Now imprisoned, the woman's panic reaches a peak. Pressed against the glass of the car window, her hands splayed wide, she shouts for release, her face a mask of desperation. "Open! I want to go out!" The word bop, bop is repeated, likely the sound of her pounding frantically on the window, highlighting her failed attempt to escape. The final image confirms her capture as the car speeds away from the school gate. The vehicle is a blur of motion, streaking down the road, its speed indicated by sharp lines trailing behind it. The surrounding trees and pavement are also blurred, emphasizing the rapid, forceful departure from the scene, signaling that the confrontation is over and Mr. Bei Ming has successfully taken her away.
Once the initial panic subsides, the woman is seen seated inside the moving vehicle, her expression shifting to one of determined worry. She holds her phone, her inner thoughts displayed in the thought bubble. "I have to find someone to save me." She begins to examine her phone, looking for a way out. Mr. Bei Ming, seated beside her, observes her attempts with amusement and a sense of dominance. As she holds her phone, a playful yet menacing thought bubble emerges from him. "This phone seems to be very sturdy. Should I try throwing it to test?" This suggests he is well aware of her attempts to seek help and is toying with her, threatening to take away her only means of communication. She whirls on him, confronting him directly with anger and resistance. "Bei Ming, you are not allowed to do that." The use of his full name and the stern tone underscores her defiance, despite their unequal power dynamic. His response is a cold warning, immediately putting her back in her place. "Do not look at me with that eyes. When the transaction is still valid, you should know if I am angry, then what will be the consequences?" He reasserts his control through fear, reminding her of the potential severe repercussions of angering him while she is still bound by their transaction. He then shifts his tone to a manipulative form of familiarity, extending a hand toward her shoulder, in a gesture that is both intimate and controlling. "Long time no see. Come close. Let me hug you. I want to see if you are thin or not," he says, feigning concern. The woman shrinks away from the unwanted advance, her attention still on her escape plan. "I want to go back to school," she says, completely rejecting his forced affection and returning to her single desire for freedom. In the second frame, we see the man's hand reaching out, his demeanor one of playful insistence, or perhaps a gentle reminder of their current circumstances. The man's hand is seen in a gesture towards her, his words carrying a note of disbelief or playful annoyance. He reminds her of a previous agreement or arrangement, saying, "I remember that you're on summer vacation." His tone implies that her desire to work is completely unnecessary, or even an act of defiance against his wishes. The pink-haired young woman, gripping her phone tightly, meets the gaze of her companion with a mixture of frustration and resolve. Her brow is furrowed, and her red eyes are flashing, signaling her serious intent as she states plainly, "I still have to work." The man to her right, dressed impeccably in a dark suit,
clearly disagrees with her priorities or perhaps just wishes to spend time with her. The man continues his argument, cutting off her excuse with a more forceful assertion in the third frame. Interrupting her previous protest about working, his voice, though only represented by a text bubble, carries a definitive authority. His argument is simple and final, overriding her business concerns with a personal command, but now it's break time. This clearly indicates he intends to sweep her away from her responsibilities and into leisure. This bold assertion finally provokes a full, exasperated reaction from the young woman, revealing her name and the dynamic of their relationship in the fourth frame. At this point, the entire scene of the two characters is visible. Her companion is revealed to be a strikingly handsome man with dark, swept-back hair and a confident, almost arrogant smile. His easygoing nature contrasts sharply with the woman's obvious stress. Her patience finally snaps, and she bursts out with an accusation, naming him directly. "Bei Mingye, you were so unruly?" Her outburst is a clear sign that this man's overbearing, yet charming nature is a persistent theme in their interactions. Unmoved by her frustration, the man responds with a pointed, almost rhetorical question in the fifth frame, suggesting that her rebellious streak is a new development. Taking her outburst in stride, he leans in slightly, his expression remaining cool and slightly challenging. His statement is layered, suggesting that her newfound boldness, her unruliness, is the result of the time she has spent in the company of someone else, perhaps a rival or a bad influence. He challenges her, saying, "Follow Mutsi Kin for a time. It seems your liver has gone back and a lot bigger, huh?" This final comment implies she's becoming too brave or audacious, directly linking her current behavior to a third party. The scene opens with a close-up of their faces in the first frame, creating a moment of charged silence and dramatic tension. The man, Bei Mingye, leans in close, his gaze intense and scrutinizing, while the woman stares back, her expression a mix of surprise and apprehension. The proximity is jarring, cutting through her defenses as he prepares to deliver a serious challenge. In the second frame, the man delivers a biting accusation, questioning the very nature of her personality and their past interactions. Bei Mingye continues to press her, his voice heavy with doubt and suspicion. He challenges her current display of defiance, suggesting it is not a recent development caused by a third party, but rather a latent part of her character that she has hidden from him. He asks, "Or your personality is inherently so. Obediently and obeying in front of me is just a disguise?" His words accuse her of intentional deception, suggesting their previous relationship was based on a false pretense of meekness. The woman, pushed to her limit by his aggressive approach and insinuation, tries desperately to push him away in the third frame. As Bei Mingye closes the distance, she physically resists his advance. The command, "push," highlights her action as she places her hands firmly on his chest to keep him away. Her desperation is palpable as she shouts a frantic rejection of his intimacy and control. "Don't come here. I said I would pay you. I don't want to be with you. Avoid out." Her words reveal a transactional element to their relationship, which she is now trying desperately to enforce as a barrier against his advances. The man is clearly wounded by her rejection, but he shifts the argument, bringing up the third party, Muzi Chin, once more in the fourth frame. Though her words clearly cut him, Bei Mingye refuses to back down. He attempts to reframe the argument, shifting the focus back onto her past relationship and directly comparing it to her behavior now. He first asks, "When you were with Muzi Chin, were you opposed as now?" Then he lays bare his deepest grievance and sense of betrayal with a profound rhetorical question. "My woman is have relation to my friend. If you were me, what would you do? Say it." His confession reveals the true source of his frustration, a mixture of possessiveness and hurt over her previous relationship with his friend. In the final frame, the woman's response is an emotional and final rejection of his possessiveness, asserting her independence in a burst of raw emotion. Finally, the pink-haired woman's face is shown in close-up, her tears welling in her eyes, her lips parted in distress. Her voice is filled with anguish and defiance, cutting through his claim of ownership. She shouts the ultimate statement of boundary and autonomy. "I am not your woman." This powerful declaration rejects both his immediate advances and the fundamental basis of his control over her.
In the sixth frame, Bei Mingye seizes her face, forcing her to look at him and challenges her declaration based on their history. Bei Mingye grabs her chin, compelling her gaze with his own intense stare. He scoffs at her denial, his possessiveness undeterred. He throws her past words and actions back at her, asking, "With the relationship between us, you still dare to say you're not my woman?" The argument then switches in the seventh frame as he introduces a new, pointed speculation about her anger and the rival. Instead of reacting to her emotional outburst, he redirects the conflict, attempting to rationalize her defiance as a reaction to him. He posits a new theory, linking her actions back to Muzi Kin. "So, does that mean you are angry with me, so you decided to come to Muzi Kin?" She immediately counters his attempt to control the narrative, once again denying his right to claim her. "All are you forced to me? I have never agreed to be your woman." The scene culminates in the final frame with a final intimate invasion of her space, bringing a sexualized edge to the power struggle. Ignoring her vehement protest, Bei Mingye moves past her words and into physical territory. The word caress highlights his action as his hand moves to her neck and shoulder. His voice drops to an intimate yet cruel comparison as he uses his actions to fuel his possessive jealousy. "Does he treat you well? Did he touch you the way I am doing?" The story begins in the close quarters of a car, where a woman with distinctive pink hair is held in place by a man. Her eyes are wide with alarm, and a desperate plea is forming on her lips, her hand raised in a futile attempt to gain space. She addresses the man as Mr. Beiming, clearly trying to appeal to his reason, but her voice falters as she attempts to name the person who might be her defense. "Mr. Beiming, let me go, okay? I and Ziquin." The unfinished sentence hangs heavy with implied meaning, suggesting her relationship with Ziquin is the only thing she believes might secure her release from his possessive grip. The focus zooms in on the physical restraint, showing the man's hand firmly wrapped around her, confirming her captive state. Her mind races, revealing an internal strategy that she is currently unable to execute. Her inner monologue expresses her frustration. "Just say the person I like is Ziquin. Maybe he'll let me go. But why I still can't speechless?" This reveals her intention to use a fabricated or exaggerated claim of affection for Ziquin as a shield, but the weight of the man's presence, or perhaps her own conflicting emotions, has rendered her mute, trapping the words behind a wall of silence. The man closes the distance, leaning in intimately. His expression is now a mix of a smirk and demanding skepticism as he uses his hand to gently, yet decisively, cup her chin, forcing her pink-haired profile to meet his gaze. He challenges the sincerity of her affections, his voice low and disbelieving. "You're really like Ziquin?" This intense proximity and direct question aim to test the authenticity of her feelings, pressuring her psychologically to confess the truth and undermining her only stated defense against him. The encounter reaches its peak with a dramatic close-up on the physical struggle. The man's hand is seen seizing her wrist with an undeniable, forceful grip, rejecting any notion of her freedom or her relationship claims. Over this image of pure restraint, a commanding word is emblazoned: "Let go." This is the final, potent declaration of the man's power. Given the context of the physical hold, this word serves as his ultimate imperious command, either telling her to let go of her resistance and her attachments, or simply dismissing her entire plea, solidifying his control over the situation. The scene widens to show the two characters sitting side by side. The man, a figure of cool, dark authority, is visible now, lighting a cigarette with an air of detached scrutiny. The woman sits stiffly, her gaze downcast, looking intensely uncomfortable as she nervously twists her hands. The man breaks the silence with a pointed and challenging question that directly addresses the implied claim she was struggling to make earlier.
He and you have officially become lovers? This confrontation confirms his awareness of Ziquin and his determination to define the boundaries of the woman's commitment, suggesting his interest is possessive and demanding.
The scene pulls back slightly, focusing on the woman's nervous posture. She attempts to speak, but the words fail her, showing her immense anxiety in the face of Mr. Bai Ming's presence. All that escapes her lips is a single, hesitant syllable, I. This stutter underscores her fear and her inability to articulate the crucial defense she had planned in her mind. The woman, her face etched with distress, attempts to counter his pressure by appealing to his reason, suggesting a transaction and emphasizing Zichin's compliance. Her expression is one of pleading and sadness. She tries to assert a claim over her own situation. Mr. Bai Ming, I'll pay you. Zichin also said that he did not want to dispute with you to the end. Simultaneously, she struggles with her own self-worth, an internal voice questioning his motive. He is not happy, is that he feels his toys have been touched by others? Mr. Bai Ming, still holding his cigarette, eyes half closed in dismissal, responds to her plea with utter contempt. He mocks her attempt to use Zichin as a counterforce, his question dripping with arrogance and disbelief. Just relying on you? This rhetorical question completely devalues her standing, her relationship, and her power to influence the situation, reinforcing his dominance. In a low shot, the dialogue between them continues. The woman, desperate for release, tries to leverage his apparent lack of respect for her. If I am not important, so let me go. Before she can finish her renewed plea, Mr. Bai Ming interrupts with a conditional, yet temporary reprieve. He issues a firm warning while setting a clear boundary for the night. Tonight I won't touch you, so don't mess everything up again. This is a deliberate tactic to control the situation and her actions, offering a fragile sense of safety in exchange for obedience. The story ends with the woman reflecting on his conditional promise and her uncertain situation. Her face is set in a determined, yet troubled expression as she processes the meaning of his actions. Her internal monologue reveals her lingering doubt and anxiety about his intentions. He said that he would not touch me tonight, so does that mean I would be safe? Do I? But why did he ask me to follow him back to Daegu? The mention of Daegu suggests a specific, powerful location, reinforcing the danger and uncertainty of her immediate future despite his temporary promise of safety. Two young women are seen walking towards the steps of the estate. One of them expresses relief and welcome, suggesting a familiar and expected return. "Elder brother, finally you're home!" This moment confirms the man's identity as a figure of authority within this grand setting. The car, a pristine white sedan, arrives at a location, likely a private estate, marked by cobblestones. Mr. Bai Ming and another man stand near the car, while the pink-haired woman stands some distance away, suggesting she has been escorted there under duress. As she looks towards the estate, the woman recognizes the two women standing at the gate. Her internal thought reveals her surprise that Mr. Bai Ming came directly for her, and that others were waiting for him. They always stand here waiting for Bai Ming Ye. Didn't expect that Bai Ming Ye went looking for me as soon as he got off the plane. One of the waiting women, characterized by her pigtails and a surprised, frustrated expression, reacts immediately to the presence of the pink-haired woman. She directs her question at the man and simultaneously expresses her intense disapproval. "Why does she here? Even follow you home? This woman is such a damn soul." This outburst introduces a clear, jealous rival and foreshadows further conflict. The scene begins with a close-up on a woman's attire, highlighting a white, ribbed top and a wide, brown leather belt, which serves as the backdrop for a severe, damning accusation. The dialogue, heavy with jealousy and resentment, is directed at the woman, demanding she distance herself from a man named Mu Ziquin. The speaker states, "You get acquainted with Mu Ziquin, then don't carry your damn face to Daegu anymore. Why do you always seduce men wherever? This opening immediately establishes a bitter rivalry and suggests the woman is viewed as a persistent source of romantic trouble. Despite the protection, the confrontation continues to a boiling point. Miss Dai, now looking shocked and angry, directly faces her pink-haired rival, who is impeccably dressed in a business suit. The pink-haired woman is pointedly ignoring a man standing to the side, a dismissal emphasized by the overlaid text, "not look." Dai's frustration explodes into a single, defiant word directed at her rival's cold indifference. You. This image captures the peak of the emotional exchange, highlighting the pink-haired woman's calculated aloofness in contrast to Dai's unrestrained emotion. The confrontation is interrupted by a strong, authoritative figure, a tall man in a dark suit, identified as Mr. Bei Ming, stands beside the woman, Miss Dai, with his arm outstretched in a clear, protective gesture, physically shielding her from the external conflict. An observer or companion provides a calming, dismissive statement to the antagonist. Miss Dai, Mr. Bei Ming have brought her here personally. You don't need to care too much. This intervention legitimizes Dai's presence and attempts to halt the public disturbance by invoking Mr. Bei Ming's influence. As Dai is escorted or protected, a quiet, serious warning is issued in a thought bubble near the couple's lower half. Directed explicitly at her, the statement is an urgent plea to maintain decorum and composure. Dai, don't mess up everything. This private caution suggests that Dai's current situation is precarious and that her actions could jeopardize a larger, unnamed plan or arrangement. Following the heated exchange, a third woman with long, wavy brown hair appears contemplative. Her expression is one of worry and confusion as she processes the events, focusing on the male figure whose intentions are at the heart of the dispute. Her internal monologue questions his motives. Even knowing the relationship between Ying Ha and Zi Qin, but he still refused to give up. This time, does he really have feelings for her or just a play? This introduces a layer of complexity, suggesting the male character's pursuit may be based on either genuine emotion or a manipulative game, and introduces two new names, Ying Ha and Zi Qin. The final image shifts focus to an elegant, detailed shot of a hand resting against the flowing skirt of a long white dress. The fabric features a subtle, glowing plaid pattern, suggesting a moment of formal wear or an upcoming refined event where the emotional conflicts will continue to unfold. The narrative shifts to a luxurious interior, marked by a dazzling, ornate crystal chandelier. The next image shows the full scene. A richly decorated living room at night with a large window revealing a starry sky. The main characters are gathered. A man in a suit is seated. The pink-haired woman stands behind him, and the blonde, Dai, and the brunette are seated on a large couch. The atmosphere is visually sophisticated but emotionally charged. The scene cuts to a dinner table. The pink-haired woman, Kaka, is serving food, perhaps demonstrating a familiarity or established role. The brunette observes this action and makes a telling observation. Every time Ye eats, Ye doesn't need a waiter, but look at both of them seem to have become a habit. This suggests a practiced closeness between the man, referred to as Ye, and the pink-haired woman. The brunette woman is then shown offering a comforting gesture, suggesting a closer relationship to the man. Sitting on a plane all day, are you tired? Or I'll give you a massage, okay? This shows a tenderness and concern that contrasts with the earlier aggression, possibly directed at the man in the suit or another close acquaintance who has just arrived. Finally, the man in the suit speaks directly to the pink-haired woman, addressing her intimately as Kaka. He issues a casual yet possessive command. Kaka, give me a shoulder squeeze.
However, the overlaid text, "no volunteering," hints at a strained or mandatory nature to the service, suggesting the man is deliberately asserting his authority or testing the boundaries of their relationship, while Kaka looks on with an unreadable expression.
The brunette and Dai react to the command. The brunette reflects on the nature of Kaka's service. Turns out she's not volunteering to be Ye's servant. What is between their relationship eventually? One of the women asks about the man's recent travels. How is this business trip? Is it favorable? The man, while being attended to by the pink-haired woman, replies simply, favorable. The pink-haired woman's hands rest on his shoulders, beginning the requested massage. The man interrupts the massage, demanding greater intensity. Squeeze a little stronger. The pink-haired woman, Kaka, has a moment of bitter realization as she processes his demand. I was so naive. Just thought that if I do that, he would hurt, but he wasn't uncomfortable at all. Now he even asked me to squeeze harder. This reveals her attempt to cause him discomfort as subtle resistance, which failed, reinforcing his dominance.
The view zooms in on the point of contact again. We see the woman's pink hair flowing over the man's dark suit. The text overlay gives a directorial note to the action. Squeeze lighter gradually. This suggests that, despite the initial hold, the tension is slowly being released, or perhaps the woman is physically easing her grip, indicating a momentary change in the dynamics of the confrontation. The perspective shifts to the man, revealing his sharply defined features, intense purple eyes, and slick dark purple hair. His expression is one of cold fury and calculation. A thought bubble emerges next to him, revealing his internal monologue. Ever since I returned, this woman has always been against me. How dare she? This internal dialogue establishes the high-stakes conflict and his deeply rooted resentment toward the woman who is defying him. The panel focuses tightly on a tense moment. A woman's slender hand firmly grips the arm of a man clad in a dark suit, his white shirt and tie visible beneath. The bold text, "Hold," emphasizes the immediate action and the resistance being shown. It's a clear confrontation, a physical halt to his movement or action. The scene opens up, revealing both characters in a luxuriously set environment, perhaps an office or a high-end lounge. The man, now fully visible and imposing in his suit, is seated, with the woman perched intimately on or near his lap, their bodies close. The woman, with her vibrant pink hair and school uniform-like attire, is looking up at him with a direct, conversational, or even flirtatious gaze, her hand gently reaching up toward his face. The man meets her gaze, his expression softened, but still holding an intense, possessive air. This final panel shows the result of the preceding tension, a close, potentially intimate, but still highly charged interaction. The scene opens on a luxurious, dimly lit drawing room illuminated by the glow of the night sky, visible through large, elegant windows. The interior is sophisticated, with plush seating and ornate classic decor. Two couples occupy the space, but the tension is palpable. On the far left sofa, a man in a dark suit sits, holding a pink-haired woman on his lap. Their posture suggests a close, yet perhaps conflicted intimacy. Across from them, two other women are seated on a separate sofa, observing the interaction. The overall atmosphere is heavy, hinting at underlying drama. The focus immediately narrows to the intense exchange between the main couple. The man, with slicked back dark hair and a confident, almost predatory smile, looks down at the pink-haired woman he holds captive. She, however, is clearly distressed. Her large magenta eyes are wide with anger and betrayal, and she pushes against his chest with a hand. A speech bubble above her head captures her desperate plea. "Let me go. You told me that you won't touch me tonight." Her words confirm a prior agreement that he is now violating. A close-up view emphasizes the man's grip on the woman. His hand firmly grasps her wrist, preventing her escape and reinforcing his control over the situation. Her uniform-like outfit, a black blazer over a white shirt with a red bow tie, contrasts with his formal attire, and her bright pink hair spills over her shoulders, highlighting her vulnerability in his grasp. Ignoring her protest, the man leans in, his expression shifting to one of chilling challenge. His gaze is unwavering as he retaliates with a rhetorical question designed to put her in her place. A speech bubble conveys his stern words. "It seems like you are increasingly against me. Who gives you that courage?" He is not only breaking a promise, but is also asserting his dominance and questioning her newfound resistance. The woman is visibly shaken by his cold retort, her face captured in an expression of shock and utter dismay. Her mouth is open in a silent gasp, and the delicate gold earrings she wears catch the light. The emotional weight of his disregard for her boundaries is evident in her eyes. Another speech bubble shows her final, pained reaction to his cruelty. You can't break the promise like that." Her words hang in the air, a final, futile attempt to appeal to his sense of honor, leaving the outcome of the confrontation uncertain and ominous. The intensity of the confrontation culminates with the pink-haired woman's inner fury. Though restrained and unable to physically fight back, a large speech bubble erupts from her vicinity, capturing her unspoken, scathing insult, "Bastard." The word, set against the backdrop of her uniform and a glimpse of her bright hair, signifies her absolute contempt and the explosive rage she is keeping suppressed. The man, oblivious or perhaps indifferent to her internal struggle, presents a picture of smug satisfaction. He smiles broadly, his eyes crinkled with amusement, revealing a self-assured confidence. The background shows the twilight sky through the window, contrasting the calm exterior he projects with the stormy emotions he is provoking. The man's reaction to her defiance is then revealed as a thought bubble against his chest, confirming his awareness of her anger. He is not only aware that she is cursing him internally, but he finds her rebellion entertaining. "Seems like she's cursing at me inside her thoughts. How interesting." This thought highlights his manipulative nature, suggesting he enjoys the control he has over her and is deliberately provoking her. Meanwhile, the attention shifts to one of the women observing the scene from the other sofa. She is shown in profile, looking concerned and contemplative, her light hair pulled back. A thought bubble indicates she is processing the shocking display. Didn't expect that Ye had forced her to do his request. He even had fun with her. This suggests the man's name is Ye and reveals a layer of history and coercion in their relationship that the observer is now realizing. Her thoughts continue, delving deeper into the man's character and past deeds. Another thought bubble reveals her confusion and judgment. Could it be he forgot that how well Sister Fei Fan treated him before? This introduces a new character, Sister Fei Fan, implying that the man, Ye, has a history with her and may be acting ungratefully or cruelly in light of past kindness, drawing a contrast between his current behavior and his previous obligations. The tension is palpable, drawing the viewer into an intimate, high-stakes moment. A handsome man with dark, neatly styled hair is leaning in close to a woman whose vibrant pink hair frames a face of delicate features. Their eyes are locked in a deep gaze, suggesting a profound emotional connection or conflict. The man, clad in a crisp dark suit and tie, is speaking, his words appearing in a speech bubble above. "I have never told you that. If, as I was fun, then what was said can still be retracted?" His words are weighted with uncertainty, possibly a plea or challenge, implying a previous conversation or promise that one of them now wishes to undo. The closeness of their faces and the serious expression on the woman's face hint that this is a conversation that could change everything between them. The focus shifts, magnifying the physical proximity and the unspoken feelings between the pair. The man's suit dominates the foreground, emphasizing his presence, while the woman's hand is visible against his chest, her touch delicate yet suggestive. She wears a black blazer over a white shirt with a striking red bow tie and a subtle gold swan-shaped pin. The intensity of their gaze continues, but the dialogue has abruptly stopped. Instead, a large speech bubble containing a column of 5 ellipses, ... hangs in the air below them. This powerful visual device indicates a moment of charged silence, a pause filled with shock, anticipation, hesitation, or perhaps the emotional impact of the man's previous words settling upon her. The atmosphere is heavy with what isn't being said. The narrative abruptly explodes into action and raw emotion. The woman with the pink hair is seen from the chest up, her expression a mask of fierce determination and controlled rage. Her beautiful features are contorted in a snarl, her eyes wide with indignation, perhaps reacting to the conversation's escalating stakes. Her right arm is raised, hand clenched into a tight, ready-to-strike fist. The simple gold bangle on her wrist contrasts sharply with the aggressive posture. She is positioned as if standing up or lunging forward from her seat, ready to defend herself or retaliate against an unseen threat or provocation. The soft business attire she wears is belied by her violent movement, showing a hidden strength and spirit. The focus completely cuts to the action, confirming the woman's intent. Her fist is shown mid-motion, flying through the air with incredible speed, indicated by the dynamic blue and purple speed lines streaking across the panel. It is a powerful, decisive punch, aimed at an unseen target off-panel. The focus on the clenched knuckles and the bright gold bangle highlights the severity and commitment of the strike. This panel captures the climax of her outburst, a moment of physical release after the charged emotional silence, establishing her as a character who is not afraid to take forceful action. The scene cuts away to 2 other women, providing an external view of the drama that has just unfolded. Both are clearly surprised and alarmed by the action they have witnessed. The woman on the left has long, wavy brown hair, and her mouth is slightly agape, her eyes wide with shock and concern. The woman on the right, with blonde hair pulled back in a high ponytail and striking blue eyes, shares a similar look of profound surprise. They are both dressed in elegant, casual attire, suggesting a setting that is public but perhaps exclusive. The exclamation marks in the bottom left of the panel visually reinforce their shared state of shock and disbelief, confirming the punch scene in the previous panel was a moment of significant public drama. The tension established by the woman's earlier attempt to strike explodes into confrontation. The man, composed and chillingly confident in his dark suit, has clearly caught her hand, restraining her. He looks down at her with a smirk of dominance and challenge. The pink-haired woman is visibly distressed, her mouth open as she speaks or protests, her spirit unbroken despite being overpowered. His dialogue balloon hangs above, cutting and dismissive. "Want to hit me? You think you have that ability?" His words are a sharp taunt, a way to belittle her effort and assert his superior strength and control in the situation. The physical restraint and the arrogant expression on his face underscore the power imbalance between them, suggesting he is accustomed to being in control. The confrontation turns into a desperate negotiation. The man's large hand, encased in a white glove or cuff, completely encompasses the woman's restrained hand. The struggle is focused on this point of physical contact, which symbolizes the bond or deal she is desperately trying to break. The woman, identified here by her name, unleashes her frustration and a concrete demand for release. "Bei Ming Yi, you're too much. Let me go. I'll pay you. The deal between us ends."
Her desperate words reveal the core conflict. The man, Bei Ming-yi, has her trapped within a transactional or coercive arrangement. She is offering money, perhaps a settlement or compensation, to buy back her freedom and terminate the deal binding them together. Her willingness to pay indicates the depth of her desire to escape his control. Bei Ming-yi delivers his cool, calculated response, rejecting the immediate offer while acknowledging the terms of the negotiation. He releases his grip slightly, allowing the focus to shift back to their faces, though his posture remains one of superior height and confidence. A slight smile plays on his lips, indicating he is enjoying his position of power. His gaze is intense as he sets a clear condition for their agreement. So, wait until your money appears in my account. This statement is a final, cold confirmation of the transactional nature of their relationship. He is not motivated by emotion or her pleas. He is waiting for the concrete evidence of the payment she promised. It leaves her in a state of suspended hope and continued captivity, subject entirely to the transfer of funds. Following the verbal exchange, Bei Ming-yi physically asserts his dominance, transitioning the conflict into a possessive embrace. The scene shifts to a close-up, showing the man's torso and the woman pressed against him on a plush, dark sofa or seating area. Her arms are wrapped around his waist, but this is not an embrace of affection. It appears to be a forced restraint or an attempt to maintain balance after being pulled toward him. Her long, pink hair cascades down her back. The image emphasizes the close, almost suffocating proximity, suggesting that despite her demands and his conditions, he will not release her until his terms are met. The physical control mirrors his calculated financial control. The final panel captures a moment of forced movement, emphasizing the woman's continued struggle and her feeling of being overwhelmed. She is shown leaning sharply forward, her body being pulled across the frame. Her pink hair streams behind her, and her expression is a mix of panic and exhaustion. She is likely being dragged or forcefully guided by Bei Ming-yi, whose dark hair is visible behind her, as they move through the venue regardless of her protests. The speed lines exaggerate the involuntary nature of her movement, solidifying the impression. The final, most dramatic assertion of power occurs as Bei Ming-yi carries the woman away. He has hoisted her over his shoulder in a blatant display of physical dominance and disrespect, carrying her up a grand staircase. Her body is draped over his back, her arms and legs splayed in a pose of complete helplessness and exposure. He speaks one last taunt over his shoulder to anyone watching, including the witnesses seen earlier. "Do you see me right?" This question is not seeking confirmation, but a forceful statement of ownership and victory meant to humiliate her and silence any challengers. The perspective shifts to the witnesses, highlighting the emotional fallout of the dramatic exit. The brown-haired woman, previously seen observing, is left alone at the bottom of the stairs. She looks up at the departing figures, her face etched with profound grief and helplessness. A single visible tear streams down her cheek, symbolizing her deep pain and powerlessness to intervene in the cruel spectacle of the woman being carried away. The brown-haired woman, identified as Sister Fei Fan, is comforted by her blonde-haired companion. They sit closely, holding hands in a gesture of empathy and support. The blonde woman offers a sympathetic but perhaps misguided justification for Bei Ming-yi's cruel behavior. Ye is deliberately, "Sister Fei Fan, he just wants to tease you angry. Give him more time." Her attempt to explain away his actions as mere teasing suggests a complex, dysfunctional dynamic in which Bei Ming-yi's cruel manipulation is a known pattern, and she encourages patience. The brown-haired woman, Fei Fan, responds to the comfort offered by her friend.
Still seated, their hands clasped, she delivers a quiet, heavy reply in the speech bubble below. I know. This brief acknowledgement suggests a weary acceptance of the situation. She understands the nature of the man's malice or manipulation, but her sadness remains, recognizing the painful reality despite the excuses offered. Fei Fan's despair deepens as she expresses her final, bitter realization. Her face is shadowed by sadness, eyes downcast as she accepts her complete lack of control over the situation, regardless of the man's intentions. Even if he deliberately or not, then between them having an intimate relationship, if I'm angry, then there's also nothing I can do about them. She faces the painful truth. The relationship between Bei Mingye and the pink-haired woman, intimate or not, is a reality that she is powerless to change, despite her own feelings of anger or distress. Her resignation seals the scene in a moment of utter defeat. She continues her internal reflection, revealing the depth of her long-suffering devotion. She sets an impossibly long timeline for her loyalty, believing that endurance will ultimately lead to happiness. I can wait for him a year. If a year is not enough, I will wait 2 years. If still not enough, I will wait 5 years or 10 years. I believe I will definitely be happy. This desperate vow exposes her self-sacrificing nature, anchored by a fragile hope. The blonde friend interjects with a worried expression, unable to simply listen to Fei Fan's profound despair. Sister Fei Fan. Her repetition of the name shows her growing concern for her friend's well-being. The blonde woman's internal monologue reveals her own feelings of injustice regarding Fei Fan's situation. Why is a perfect woman like her suffer so much for Ye? That's not fair. This thought highlights the perceived unfairness of Fei Fan's situation, reinforcing that everyone knows how much she has suffered for Ye. The scene shifts abruptly to a dark, quiet bedroom. The bed is neatly made under a deep blue duvet, flanked by minimalist bedside tables. The overall atmosphere is modern, sterile, and cold, suggesting the location where the drama carried up the stairs will now play out in private. The pink-haired woman is shown with her eyes closed, still pressed against the dark figure of Bei Mingye, whose head is partially visible. Overlaid on this image is a haunting memory or flashback. The inset shows her and Bei Mingye in a shared intimate moment in bed, both partially unclothed, suggesting a past or ongoing sexual relationship. This juxtaposition confirms the intimate relationship Fei Fan referenced, and the woman's current closed eyes might reflect her deep conflict or exhaustion from the confrontation.
The scene shifts back to the present confrontation, possibly moments after being brought into the room. The pink-haired woman is bent over, shielding herself from Bei Mingye, who delivers a triumphant observation. It turns out you are still afraid of me. This statement is layered with past history, hinted at by the woman's thought bubble. Just like before, she is reverting to a submissive, fearful state, indicating a deeply ingrained dynamic of fear and control. The confrontation escalates physically. A close-up shows Bei Mingye forcefully lifting or maneuvering the woman, his hands gripping her body and legs. Her sharp cry of surprise or pain fills the speech bubble. Ah! This panel captures the moment his assertion of dominance turns physical, overcoming her resistance. The woman is shown leaning against a wall or piece of furniture, Bei Mingye's arm draped over her shoulder in a possessive embrace. She looks up at him, her eyes wide with a mix of defiance and pleading. Her hand is placed on his chest, creating a boundary that he easily crosses. The focus is on the intimate closeness of their bodies, emphasizing her continued captivity.
The woman tries to speak, but her words fail her, suggesting she is overwhelmed by the situation and his proximity. You. The final image shows a momentary shift in the man's demeanor. He reaches out a hand and gently touches her cheek or brushes her hair away from her eye. The expression on the woman's face is surprised, her large eyes looking up at him as if bewildered by the tenderness of the gesture, which stands in stark contrast to his earlier violence and threats. Beiming Ye speaks, continuing to focus on her fear. He is seated now, looking down at her with a heavy expression. I kept thinking that after following Zi Qin, you would no longer be afraid of me. This line introduces a new character, Zi Qin, suggesting this person was meant to be a refuge or source of strength for the pink-haired woman, which clearly failed to materialize. A low-angle shot shows Beiming Ye leaning over the seated woman, his hands resting on the back of the sofa, effectively caging her in. The visual composition emphasizes his physical dominance in the confined space. Beiming Ye forces her head up by the chin, his expression shifting to a cruel, appreciative smile. He delivers a backhanded compliment that objectifies her vulnerability. However, looking at your appearance looks like a white rabbit. This makes others really feel love it. He finds her rabbit-like appearance, likely referring to her fear and helplessness, attractive. A close-up shows Beiming Ye leaning in, his hands cupping her chin, forcing her face towards his. The image strongly suggests he is about to kiss her or force a kiss upon her. The pink-haired woman finds a moment of renewed strength to protest against the intimate violation, pushing his hands away with a look of desperation and anger. Don't touch me. This panel captures her last defiant stand in the face of his overwhelming control. A close-up reveals the interrogator, a man with strikingly dark, neatly swept hair and sharp, assessing eyes of a pale violet hue. The shadows around him add a layer of danger and intensity to his expression. He wears a slight, knowing smirk, a subtle curve of the lips that suggests he is either deeply satisfied with the effect his question has had, or that he already suspects the answer. The confidence, bordering on arrogance, is palpable. He listens, not with a desire for information, but as if judging a performance. The single, low utterance is a mere punctuation to his thought process, indicating a deep focus on the response, an internal calculation of its truth or implications. This is a man who is clearly in control, watching the unfolding situation with cool, calculating amusement. The scene is taut, charged with an unspoken tension that seems to vibrate in the air. A powerful figure whose dark suit and imposing presence dominate the frame leans in close, his physical proximity an intimidating pressure. Though only a part of his body is visible, the broad shoulder and the severe lines of his suit, his intent is clear through the looming speech bubble. The question hangs suspended between them, sharp and demanding, cutting through any pretense of polite conversation. You and Zi Qin, what did you two do? The inquiry is not a casual one. It carries the weight of an accusation, or, at the very least, a highly personal interrogation, suggesting a deep-seated interest or territorial concern regarding the relationship between this Zi Qin and the listener. Under the crushing weight of the question and the silent scrutiny, the woman recoils, a sense of immediate distress washing over her delicate features. Her pink hair is slightly disheveled, and her large eyes are wide with a mixture of fear and forced denial. She is physically backed against what appears to be a sofa or an armrest, her hands gripping the edge as if anchoring herself against a rising tide of panic. The internal emotional turmoil is externally manifested as she attempts to construct a coherent, minimizing explanation. She is desperate to downplay the significance of her actions or relationship, but the tremor in her body betrays her composure. "There is no such thing. I just agreed to be his girlfriend. We have known each other. Sooner or later, we will..." The speech bubble trails off, incomplete, either due to a sudden loss for words or the sheer effort of suppressing her rising fear. Her body language is loud, contrasted sharply by the bold red text capturing her involuntary reaction. Trembling. Her denial sounds flimsy, a desperate attempt to protect herself from the unseen consequences of whatever secret lies between her and Z Kin. The stage is set for a dramatic confrontation. The bitter farewell. The scene is framed by lush, vibrant greenery, but the atmosphere is heavy with tension. A young woman with strikingly long pink hair holds a phone to her ear, her face a canvas of pain and forced resolve. Her brow is furrowed, and her eyes, wide with unshed tears, betray the emotional toll of the conversation. She manages to push out a brittle, hollow sound in a hexagon speech bubble. Ka, ka. A laugh devoid of humor, a bitter sound of resignation meant for the person on the other end of the line. She is clearly bringing a difficult chapter to a definitive close. The final command. The conversation continues, culminating in a firm farewell command. In a large circular speech bubble that dominates the bottom of the panel, her final words are displayed, resolute and final. "Do not find me later on. Take care." It is a clear instruction, a permanent severing of ties, communicated while she still maintains a weary, strained composure against the green backdrop. The screeching halt. Just as she attempts to process the emotional aftermath, the reality of the external world violently intrudes. The perspective shifts dramatically to the ground level, focusing on the immediate danger. With a fierce burst of motion lines that indicate tremendous speed, a white luxury car wheel is shown. Before the vehicle can strike, the word "brake," rendered in a bold gradient font, slams onto the scene, capturing the moment of a sudden, desperate stop. The sound of screeching tires is almost audible, freezing the action in a hair-raising instant. Shock on the sidewalk. The scene pulls back to show the full context of the near accident. The woman with pink hair, now off the phone and looking small and vulnerable, stands frozen on the pavement. She is completely caught off guard. Her body is turned away from the stopped car, but her head is jerked towards it, her eyes wide with fear and disbelief. Hovering above her is the universal symbol of utter shock, two sharp exclamation marks. A, signifying the sudden terror and surprise of the vehicle's abrupt appearance right next to her on the curb. The demand. The crisis is immediately followed by a commanding presence. The focus moves inside the pristine white car. Behind the steering wheel sits a sharp-featured man with dark, slicked-back hair and a severe expression. His eyes are obscured by dark sunglasses, adding an air of mystery and authority that is immediately intimidating. He does not bother with an apology for nearly hitting her. Instead, in a forceful speech bubble, he delivers a curt, non-negotiable order: "Get on the car." The command suggests a past connection and an iron will, demanding instant obedience. A faint protest. The woman, now visible in a close profile against the green backdrop, manages a small, flustered protest. Her face shows a flicker of resistance,
but her eyes betray a deeper knowledge of the man's uncompromising nature. She attempts to assert her independence and previous commitments. "But I have many important things need to do. Her objection trails off, seemingly overpowered by his sheer force of will. The demand repeated. A closer shot focuses on the woman's reaction, though we only see her lower face and pink hair. The man's insistent voice persists, its message cutting through her shocked daze. The circular bubble repeats the command with a simple period, solidifying its lack of option. Get on the car. Destination declared. The scene shifts inside the vehicle. The woman is seated in the passenger seat, having seemingly complied, now securely fastening her seatbelt. Her expression is sullen and defeated as she asks the necessary question, "Where to go?" The man, gripping the steering wheel, answers instantly and without consultation, his words delivered in a confident, slightly dismissive bubble. Seadow Beach. Silent agreement. The focus is on the man's hands on the steering wheel and the bottom of the woman's fastened seatbelt. In response to her question and his declaration, his only reply is a low, non-committal hum. It is an acknowledgement that silences further questions and establishes his control over the immediate situation. The weight of silence. The final panel captures the tension building within the confined space of the car. The woman looks straight ahead, her face drawn and introspective, her pink hair pulled back into a high ponytail. The man's imposing figure dominates the foreground. Her inner monologue, conveyed in a thought bubble, reveals the suffocating atmosphere. It was scary when he was silent. The quiet is heavier than any argument, suggesting a past fraught with unspoken power dynamics and emotional control. Breaking the uncomfortable silence, the man gestures towards a patterned lunchbox she is holding. His tone, perhaps surprisingly, is focused on her welfare. Your breakfast. The unexpected attention to her need interrupts the heavy atmosphere. A quiet acknowledgement. The woman, still holding the breakfast box, responds briefly. The focus is on the bottom of the panel, showing her seatbelt and the man's legs. Her simple reply of "thanks" reveals a small easing of tension, a quiet acceptance of the unexpected gesture. Holding the patterned breakfast box now, the woman is seen in a close-up, her expression thoughtful and conflicted. A large, spiked thought bubble conveys her internal reflection on the subtle shift in his behavior. Today, he seems to have something unlike before. She senses a change in his usual intensity. The panel is filled entirely with the bright, tranquil view outside the car. The composition is framed by the woman's own hands, holding up a view of the bright blue sky, scattered clouds, and the sparkling turquoise ocean below. They have clearly arrived at the scenic beach destination. Seizing the opportunity. The woman is now standing on the sandy beach, stretching her arms above her head, her posture relaxed despite the way she arrived. The beautiful beach scenery inspires a professional thought, showing her a pragmatic side. This filming location is not bad either. I will discuss it with Tian for a while. She immediately pivots her focus, turning the forced trip into a potential professional scouting opportunity. She is clearly smitten with the handsome stranger as her inner thoughts are revealed in a speech bubble. Oh my, that guy is so handsome. She takes a moment to admire him, observing his composed posture and sophisticated attire against the casual beach setting. The scene unfolds on a sun-drenched beach with the gentle backdrop of the ocean visible behind the characters. A woman with striking pink hair, dressed in a bright orange top, casts her gaze upon a man standing near her. The man is impeccably dressed in a dark, stylish jacket adorned with gold accents over a simple, light-colored shirt. His overall appearance is highly attractive, prompting an internal reaction from the woman. The action abruptly shifts as the woman initiates a direct interaction. The man is seen holding a pair of dark sunglasses in his left hand. In a quick, impulsive motion, the woman reaches out her hand towards the sunglasses, an act that is explicitly labeled as stealing. It is a daring move, hinting at a playful or mischievous attempt to gain his attention by taking his accessory. The confrontation quickly transforms into an intimate moment as the woman succeeds in her grab, immediately moving to put the sunglasses onto the man's face. She leans in close, her hands carefully adjusting the dark shades onto the bridge of his nose, an action simply captioned, "Wear." Now wearing the sunglasses, the handsome man looks directly at her with a confused or startled expression. He is clearly taken aback by her forwardness and immediately questions her motive, asking simply, "What's wrong?" The moment ends with the woman having successfully imposed her will on the handsome stranger, leaving him bewildered by the sudden shift in their seaside encounter.
The scene opens mid-step under a bright, clear sky. A young woman with vibrant pink hair tied in a high ponytail and dressed in a relaxed, orange-toned blouse reaches out to the man walking beside her. Her expression is one of slight urgency as she presses her hands against his torso, seeking both physical closeness and perhaps to draw his attention. A dialogue bubble emerges from her, stating, "It is very sunny, do not let it ruin our eyes." This line is a clear, if perhaps slightly dramatic, warning about the intense sunlight, suggesting a protective concern for the man. Her action of reaching out and the intensity of her warning immediately establish a dynamic where she is actively taking care of him. The camera returns to the woman, capturing her reaction to the handsome man. Her expression has completely changed. Her eyes are closed, her cheeks are flushed a deep red, indicating embarrassment or infatuation, and a small, heartfelt sigh or comment escapes her. A thought bubble with radiating lines emphasizes her internal turmoil. This guy, his charm is too big. This internal monologue reveals that her earlier, seemingly protective action, the warning about the sun, was driven by her strong, perhaps overwhelming attraction to him. She is utterly smitten and flustered by his presence and good looks. The scene concludes with a detailed shot of the couple walking side by side, primarily focusing on their coordinated yet distinct attire. The man's dark suit jacket is visible on the left, next to the woman's arm. The woman is showcased in her casual but stylish outfit. The orange-toned blouse is tied in a neat, large bow at her waist, creating a cropped, cinched silhouette. This is paired with a knee-length, A-line skirt in a dark brown and rust-colored plaid pattern. Their hands are close, emphasizing their proximity and the continuation of their walk. This final image grounds the previous emotional exchange in the physical reality of their shared journey. The perspective lifts to reveal the man fully. He is incredibly handsome, with slicked-back dark hair that has purple and orange highlights, and his eyes are completely obscured by a pair of fashionable, dark-lensed sunglasses. He retains a somewhat neutral or contemplative expression. The sudden appearance of the sunglasses validates the woman's earlier warning about the bright sun, providing a visual answer to the sunny question. Above his head, two large question marks float in the air, hinting that despite his calm demeanor, he is still slightly bewildered by the woman's intense reaction or action. His chic, slightly formal attire, combined with the sunglasses, makes him look instantly charismatic and cool. The focus shifts to the man, though only his torso and neck area are initially visible. He wears a stylish dark jacket with gold accents over a light-colored V-neck shirt. The bottom of the dialogue bubble from the woman's previous statement cuts off, leading into a reaction from the man. A simple yet telling word is spoken from him, possibly in response to his physical gesture or the sudden warning about the sun. Sunny? This suggests a momentary confusion or mild surprise at her statement. The next line, indicates a pause, a moment of contemplation, or perhaps recognition of the situation or the person. The story momentarily pauses to establish the beautiful location where the events are unfolding. The image is a broad, serene landscape of a sunlit beach. Gentle, clear waves wash onto soft, light-colored sand. The sky is bright blue with scattered clouds, and the entire scene is bathed in a sparkling, almost magical light, setting a perfectly picturesque and airy atmosphere for the subsequent professional and romantic entanglements. This idyllic view confirms the sunny setting from the previous batch of images. Two women are shown against the backdrop of the sunny sky. The pink-haired woman from the earlier scene stands on the left, looking down with a clear expression of deep embarrassment, her face still flushed. Beside her is a different woman, with light brown hair tied up, wearing a light-colored t-shirt and holding a camera. This second woman whispers conspiratorially, her hand covering her mouth as she voices a thought-provoking question. "Mr. Bei Ming really here just to observe the work?" This line introduces a new character, Mr. Bei Ming, and suggests a professional context, while also implying doubt about his stated purpose, linking his presence directly to the pink-haired woman's intense embarrassment. The perspective widens to show the two women actively engaged in their tasks. The pink-haired woman holds a notebook and a pen, suggesting she is involved in documentation or planning, while her companion holds the camera. Crucially, in the background, the man from the earlier scene, Mr. Bei Ming, stands casually, leaning slightly with one hand in his pocket, dressed in a sharp, dark suit jacket and slacks. He is observing them. A dialogue bubble originates from the woman with the camera, offering a playful confirmation to her own question. Of course, otherwise what is he here for? This heavily implies that his presence is indeed related to the pink-haired woman and not merely professional observation, much to the amusement of the camera-wielding friend. The scene closes with the two women facing each other. The pink-haired woman offers a soft, almost resigned smile. Her friend, however, looks troubled and waves her hands in an anxious gesture, indicating continued preoccupation with Mr. Bei Ming. A thought bubble reveals her internal conflict and lingering suspicion. Why do I feel that he wants to follow us? Maybe I was thinking too much. This final thought reintroduces the central tension, the powerful man's true intentions, and leaves the professional setting shadowed by the possibility. The focus tightens on the two women. The camera-wielding friend now holds the camera ready and looks ahead. The pink-haired woman stands next to her, holding her notebook and pen close to her chest. A new dialogue bubble, likely from the pink-haired woman, dictates a task-oriented action. "All right, I will look over there." This line is a direct statement of intention, indicating that despite the surrounding drama and embarrassment, she is attempting to focus on the work at hand and direct their attention away from the observing man, perhaps by choosing a specific area to focus their efforts.
The professional distance is abruptly shattered. A man's hand, strong and pale, matching Mr. Bei Ming's earlier appearance, reaches out and rests firmly on the woman's waist, just above the knot of her orange blouse and against the plaid skirt. This sudden, intimate physical contact occurs without warning, marking a deliberate and bold move to stop her or command her attention. The scene cuts to a close-up of the couple. Mr. Bei Ming, wearing his dark sunglasses, has moved in close, standing just behind the startled pink-haired woman. He looks down at her with a gentle, almost amused expression. She, in contrast, is wide-eyed and flushed, caught completely off guard by his sudden proximity and touch. Her expression is a mixture of shock and dawning realization. The perspective shifts back to a close-up on their torsos, emphasizing the man's arm wrapped around her in a possessive embrace. A dialogue bubble originating from Mr. Bei Ming reveals his internal thought or a softly spoken comment that explains his action.
Didn't expect that our Kaka to be a type of strong woman at work. This line acknowledges her attempt to be professional, strong woman at work, but uses a teasing nickname Kaka and a casual embrace to assert an intimate familiarity, completely undermining her professional focus with personal affection.
The scene opens with a bright and cheerful young woman radiating enthusiasm under the sunny sky. She has light brown hair styled in playful pigtails and is wearing a casual white top over a pink graphic tee, complete with a red choker and a camera slung across her body, clearly ready for a day of fun and exploration. With a wide, warm smile and an open gesture, she initiates the next move. Her speech bubble clearly conveys her immediate excitement. Ka, I heard that there is a food road nearby. Let's go. This establishes a light-hearted atmosphere and a shared goal to enjoy some lope. This panel is a detailed close-up that confirms the young woman's stylish yet adventurous ensemble. It focuses primarily on her lower half, showing her fair skin contrasting with a pair of purple denim shorts with rolled cuffs. Most distinctively, she is wearing patterned thigh-high stockings, white and pink diamonds, held up by two red suspender-like garter straps attached to the shorts. The straps emphasize her playful and somewhat daring fashion sense, contrasting with the sandy, natural backdrop. The camera hanging from her neck also highlights her role as a potential documenter of the day, emphasizing her readiness to capture memories. The panel serves to flesh out her character's visual personality before the plot thickens. Just as the woman, still smiling, is perhaps about to set off for the food road, the mood shifts with the sudden arrival of two new characters. The original woman is shown looking off-panel with a mildly surprised or inquiring expression. Standing to her right are a striking pair, a man and another woman. The newcomer woman has long, vibrant pink hair pulled into a high ponytail and wears a simple orange top, facing the original character with a tranquil, almost serene expression. The man is tall, impeccably dressed in a dark jacket and wears dark sunglasses, giving him an air of sophistication and slight aloofness. He is positioned protectively behind or beside the pink-haired woman. It is the pink-haired woman who speaks first, stating simply, "There you are." This line is spoken with a quiet finality, suggesting she was looking for someone and has now found them, immediately interrupting the earlier plans and shifting the focus of the scene. The focus abruptly returns to the first young woman, now seen in a close-up profile. Her expression has changed completely from the excitement of panel 1. Her eyes are lowered slightly, and her mouth is set in a line that suggests unease or disappointment. The background has become less clear, focusing the reader solely on her reaction and internal thoughts, which fill the large speech bubble next to her. It's boring. Mr. Bai Ming Ye is still here. Maybe eating with Kaka will be postponed. The atmosphere between these two people, I feel very weird. This panel reveals crucial information. The man's name is Mr. Bai Ming Ye, and his presence, along with the pink-haired woman, has completely derailed her plans and soured her mood. Her focus has moved from enjoying food to observing the weird tension between the two new arrivals, suggesting a deeper, possibly romantic or complicated history that she is now awkwardly privy to. The narrative concludes with an intensely focused interaction between the two newcomers, viewed from the original woman's perspective. The pink-haired woman looks up at Mr. Bai Ming Ye, her expression now one of deep contemplation or mild anxiety. The man, still maintaining his imposing posture and sunglasses, looks down at her. Her speech bubble contains only the fragmented, truncated word, "that." Below her speech bubble, the word hesitant is written in bold, large red text, acting as a dramatic narrator's interjection to explicitly describe her unspoken feeling.
This visual and textual emphasis underscores the palpable tension and uncertainty between the two characters, leaving the reader on a cliffhanger as the initial joyful plan is forgotten, replaced by an observation of a complex, unresolved dynamic. The narrative continues the focus on the newly arrived man, Mr. Bai Ming Ye, as he responds to the earlier suggestion of going out for food. Only the lower part of the pink-haired woman's orange shirt is visible next to his dark jacket, emphasizing their close proximity. Mr. Bai Ming Ye offers his response in a large, dismissive speech bubble. His tone suggests total indifference to the food plans. "Wanna eat? Just go. I don't have any requirements toward eating." His arms are crossed over his chest, reinforcing his detached and authoritative demeanor. This response effectively shuts down the group activity, indicating that if the others want food, they must go without him, or simply get something on their own, cementing the shift in the group's dynamic. The scene cuts to a wider, slightly blurry shot of the beach resort setting, reminding the reader of the location. This visually grounds the story, showing a sheltered dining or lounge area near the water, with thatched roofing and comfortable seating. In the foreground, 3 figures, presumably the main characters, though blurred, are seated around a small, low table in wicker chairs, having transitioned from their standing positions. This establishes the new, more settled environment where the ensuing dialogue and observation will take place. The original young woman, Kaka implied, reasserts herself with a forced smile, attempting to salvage the situation. She is seen cheerfully addressing the other two, a glimmer of sweat near her hairline hinting at the effort she's making to appear unfazed by the sudden tension. She offers a solution that gives everyone a moment of space. "I'm going to get some food. You two just need to wait here for a second." This acts as a clear move to defuse the situation, allowing her to exit the immediate awkwardness and return with the promised meal, essentially pressing a pause button on the complicated interaction between Mr. Bai Ming Ye and the pink-haired woman. With the first woman gone, a moment of silent observation settles over the remaining two. The panel focuses on the young woman's body language as she stands near the table, her hands resting close to the wicker edge. Her internal monologue, displayed in a large speech bubble, highlights the powerful aura surrounding the man. "Mr. Bai is really too powerful. Obviously, there are many people here, but no one dares to get close." This thought reveals the man's formidable reputation and how his mere presence, combined with his imposing appearance, is enough to create an invisible boundary around them, pushing back the crowd despite the public setting. This emphasizes that his power isn't just internal, but projects outward, affecting the entire environment. The tension reaches a new level as Mr. Bai Ming Ye, having settled into the casual resort seating, initiates a surprisingly intimate question directed at the pink-haired woman. The background is now blurred, drawing all attention to the pair. He has removed his sunglasses and is wearing reading glasses, making him appear slightly more vulnerable, or at least less guarded. He looks at her directly and asks, "Can I take off my glasses?" This unexpected question about such a small, personal action suggests he is seeking her permission or approval for something, perhaps a momentary lowering of his guard. The pink-haired woman is visibly taken aback, responding with a hesitant and non-committal reaction. The panel ends on this charged exchange, leaving the nature of their relationship and the reason for his sudden request ambiguous and heightening the drama. The pink-haired woman's internal reaction to the request is shown in a close-up on her face, which is etched with skepticism and annoyance. Her internal monologue scathingly critiques his behavior. "If don't want to wear it, then take it down. Ask me for what?" She sees his question as unnecessarily dramatic or manipulative, wondering why he needs her specific permission for a simple personal action. Mr. Bai Ming Yi responds to her visible hesitation by offering a reason that instantly grounds their interaction in a shared history. He is seen again wearing his large sunglasses, looking out over the water not directly at her. He offers a cryptic yet charged explanation. "You are the one who wore it to me." This statement immediately transforms the glasses from a simple accessory into a symbol of their past connection, implying that the item holds significance because it was a gift or a specific request from her. This panel focuses on the man's posture and the woman's unspoken judgment of his response. We see the lower part of his body and his hand resting on the glass table. The pink-haired woman's internal monologue dismisses his statement as a poor attempt at an excuse. Oh dear, I don't think he can think of this excuse either. This internal thought indicates that she finds his explanation unbelievable, or perhaps manipulative, refusing to accept the emotional weight he has placed on the glasses. The pink-haired woman decides to take action, asserting her position and control. She steps closer to Mr. Bei Mingyi, looking down at him with a stern expression. With her fingers, she begins to physically remove the reading glasses from his face. She states her logical counter-argument to his previous statement. "I never said I won't let you take it down." The dramatic text, "take," is placed below her statement, visually emphasizing the moment of physical contact and the decisive act of removal, overriding his need for verbal permission with direct action. As the pink-haired woman continues the act of removing the glasses, the attention shifts to her own internal astonishment. The focus is on her arm and hand, which are gently holding the bridge of his nose to remove the glasses. She reflects on the shock of his compliance. Bei Mingyi also know to obey like this? The sun is rising in the west? This final thought reveals that his unexpected obedience to her direct action is completely out of character, highlighting the unusual nature of their relationship and leaving the reader to question what kind of leverage or history she holds over this powerful man. With the glasses gone, Mr. Bei Mingyi turns the focus onto her. His expression is now open, with a slightly challenging smile. He asks two pointed questions, seeking to understand her current status. "Why do you follow us? Don't you work today?" His hand is shown holding the removed glasses, which he is handing over to her. This immediately shifts the power dynamic back into a formal, almost prosecutorial interrogation. The pink-haired woman takes the glasses, placing them in the pocket of his jacket. Her answer is brief and straightforward, offering no further explanation. "Weekend." This simple response confirms she is not working, but does not address the question of why she is following him, maintaining an air of mystery. Mr. Bei Mingyi leans in, his face closer to hers, his gaze intense and slightly possessive. He confesses the true reason for his attention and presence, giving an explicit link to their past separation. "I'm afraid that if you don't pay attention to you, you will be seduced by other men, then want to leave me again." His statement reveals a deep-seated fear of abandonment and jealousy, explaining his controlling behavior and confirming that the tension stems from a past breakup initiated by her. Her response is a silent ellipsis, indicating speechless surprise or frustration at his frankness. The narrative cuts away from the couple's intense discussion to the cheerful return of the first young woman. She is carrying large, light blue plastic bags filled with food and offers an apologetic, friendly smile. She addresses Mr. Bei Mingyi, explaining her purchase. "Mr. Bei, it's so embarrassing. I don't know what kind of food you like, so I bought fried noodles and fried rice by myself." Her return and the simple, practical food break the tension, providing a welcome distraction from the heavy emotional exchange. A close-up shot confirms the abundance and variety of the takeout food. The visual presentation of the food provides a moment of simple, appetizing reality, contrasting sharply with the complex emotional drama that just transpired. After the food is laid out, Mr. Bei Mingyi returns to his powerful, silent mode. He is sitting back with his arms crossed, his gaze fixed intensely on the pink-haired woman. The caption explicitly labels the moment, "Silence and Stare." This emphasizes the continued, unresolved tension between them. The pink-haired woman begins to eat, using chopsticks. The first woman looks on with a surprised expression. A dramatic caption, "Bear it and take it out," suggests a specific, difficult action is being performed. A question mark in a speech bubble indicates the first woman's confusion. The source of the confusion is immediately revealed. The pink-haired woman, without looking at the man, is using her chopsticks to meticulously pick something out of his food and speaking to the bewildered first woman. "He doesn't like to eat onions." This shows an intimate, long-standing knowledge of his habits, which deeply surprises the first woman, who can only stammer, "You." The first young woman is shown in a close-up profile, her expression one of dawning realization. Her internal monologue pieces together the truth. These two people are strange. Kaka seems to understand very well the habits of Mr. Bay, and he also seems very obedient to Kaka. Could it be she misidentifies the pink-haired woman as Kaka, likely the name of the girl in the pigtails, or perhaps a pet name she now attributes to the other woman in confusion? The internal question hangs in the air, recognizing the depth of the couple's bond. Before the first woman can draw a conclusion, Mr. Bei Mingye reasserts his control over the day's plans, suggesting they continue together. He asks the pink-haired woman, "Where else do you want to go this afternoon? Let me take you to." The pink-haired woman's internal reaction is one of resigned frustration. "Seems like he insisted on following me." This confirms that his earlier jealous confession is driving his need to stay with her and control her movements, effectively trapping her in his presence for the remainder of the afternoon.
The first young woman cheerfully intervenes, providing the details of their professional plan for the afternoon. "So it's good. We intend to go to the advertising agency this afternoon to see if their advertising plan is okay." This introduces a specific, work-related objective for the group. The pink-haired woman, identified as Kaka in the previous panel's thought bubble, confirms the difficulty in setting up the meeting. A text box reads, "Nod," as she speaks. "Yes, we convinced them so long that they agreed to meet." This highlights the importance and difficulty of their scheduled business appointment. Mr. Bei Mingye immediately focuses on a potential problem, asking a direct, challenging question. Difficulty? The pink-haired woman explains the specific issue with the agency's work. "The time was too urgent. They tried their best. Just our request still has not been reached." This dialogue establishes the man's immediate involvement in her work matters and the professional challenge they face. Mr. Bei Mingye, having received the onionless piece of food prepared by the pink-haired woman, places it in his mouth with a slight smile. He responds to the professional problem with a simple, almost dismissive sound. "Oh." This juxtaposition highlights the contrast between the high-stakes professional issue and his casual yet clearly taken care of personal life. The story begins with a beautiful young woman with long, vibrant pink hair tied back in a high ponytail. She is sitting at a dining table, holding a pair of chopsticks with practiced grace. Picking up a small, succulent piece of food, she turns toward her companion with a gentle, encouraging expression. "Do not just focus on eating rice," she advises warmly. "Try this dish. The food here is also very famous." Her eyes reflect a sincere desire to share a delightful culinary experience, highlighting her thoughtful and hospitable nature. Across the table, the atmosphere suddenly shifts. A man with sharp, handsome features and dark hair looks back at her. The frame focuses closely on his eyes, deep violet-blue pools that seem to pierce through the casual setting. There is an unmistakable intensity in his look, a silent command or perhaps a hidden expectation that hangs heavy in the air. His expression is unreadable, bordering on a cold stoicism that contrasts sharply with the woman's earlier warmth. Caught under the weight of his stare, the pink-haired woman freezes. Her initial confidence falters and a flush of nervous realization washes over her face. She holds her chopsticks mid-air, her thoughts racing in a panicked internal monologue. "Don't tell me that he wants me to feed him right here." The silence between them becomes palpable, marked only by the ... in her speech bubble, as she grapples with the social pressure and the potentially intimate implication of his silent demand. Seeking a way to break the tension, or perhaps just wanting to enjoy more of the meal, the pink-haired woman turns to another companion, a girl with short, wavy blonde hair named Tian Tian. With a slightly strained but polite smile, she asks, "Tian Tian, the food here is very good. Can you help me buy another part?" Tian Tian, looking slightly surprised by the sudden request, responds with a simple, "Ah, sure."
This interaction provides a brief reprieve from the heavy atmosphere at the table. As the scene concludes, the pink-haired woman is shown in profile, her gaze following Tian Tian as the blonde girl walks away toward the food stalls in the background. The sun shines brightly over the open-air setting, but the woman's expression remains contemplative and somewhat troubled. The distance between her and her friend emphasizes a sense of isolation, leaving her to face the intense presence of the man once again.
Driven by the heavy silence and his undeniable presence, the pink-haired woman finally gives in to the unspoken request. With a hand that trembles slightly from nerves, she extends her chopsticks toward him. The dark-haired man closes his eyes, accepting the gesture with a calm, almost regal composure as he takes the food from her. The air between them hums with a new kind of tension, no longer just cold, but unexpectedly intimate, as she watches him closely, her own face a mixture of surprise and shy compliance. The perspective shifts to a tight close-up, focusing on the moment of contact. The small morsel of food is placed gently into his mouth. This fleeting, silent moment emphasizes the break in his stoic armor. For a brief second, the power dynamic shifts as he allows her to care for him in this small, personal way. Having tasted the food, the man's stern demeanor finally cracks into a genuine, albeit small, smile. "That's delicious," he admits, his voice likely smoother and warmer than before. Relieved that her gesture was well received, the woman lets out a soft, airy laugh, her eyes crinkling with a newfound brightness. "Haha, you like it, is good," she replies, the previous awkwardness momentarily replaced by a shared sense of genuine enjoyment under the clear blue sky. However, the man's playful or perhaps demanding nature quickly returns. As Tian Tian is seen returning in the distance with a shopping bag, the man turns his head slightly, a mischievous glint in his violet eyes. Despite having just finished eating, he issues another startling command. "I've filled up. You wipe my mouth." His look returns, this time more of a challenge than a cold stare, testing the boundaries of her willingness to serve his whims. The pink-haired woman is left in a state of utter shock, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. The frame focuses on her wide, disbelieving eye and her gritted teeth as she processes his latest, even more forward request. Her thoughts race in a frantic circle of confusion and embarrassment. He even still wants to? The story leaves her at a crossroads, caught between the returning friend and the increasingly bold demands of the man sitting across from her.
In the first scene, a young woman with vibrant pink hair tied in a high ponytail looks up with a curious and slightly surprised expression. She has noticed someone standing behind her friend Tian Tian. Her eyes are wide as she asks, "Eh? Tian Tian, the person behind you, is that student of our school?" The bright, clear sky in the background suggests a warm afternoon on campus or a nearby hangout spot. As the perspective shifts, we see the person she was questioning. A handsome young man with dark, sleek hair and a confident smirk leans in. Another girl, presumably Tian Tian, turns her head in confusion, looking around as she replies, "Where? I don't see it." The pink-haired girl watches the interaction closely, her expression turning slightly more intense as she observes the boy's arrival. As the interaction continues, the focus shifts to the pink-haired girl's internal monologue. While she maintains a relatively calm exterior, her thoughts are sharp and frustrated. A jagged speech bubble reveals her true feelings toward the boy. Sneaky like a crook, this guy is only good at torturing others. It is clear there is a history of tension or of rivalry between them, and she finds his charming demeanor to be nothing more than a facade. In the final moment, the pink-haired girl becomes visibly flustered. Her face is flushed with a deep pink blush, and she avoids direct eye contact, looking down or away with a strained smile. Trying to break the tension and make a quick exit, she laughs nervously and points out the time. "Ah, maybe I was wrong. It's been over 1 p.m. Let's go."
She is clearly eager to put some distance between herself and this sneaky boy who has her so worked up. The young man seems perfectly aware of the effect he has on those around him. He wears a stylish dark blazer over a light gray shirt, resting his hand near his mouth as he lets out a soft, knowing chuckle. Adorned with a playful flower background effect typical of manhwa aesthetics, he radiates a teasing, mischievous energy, clearly enjoying whatever reaction he has managed to provoke.
The sun shines brightly over a clear blue sky as two young women stand outside, caught in a moment of hurried transition. The girl with a long, vibrant pink ponytail and a bright orange blouse leans in toward her friend, a gentle but insistent smile on her face. Her companion, dressed in a simple white t-shirt featuring a cute bunny on the moon graphic, looks startled. Clutching a blue plastic bag filled with what appears to be groceries, she asks with a look of confusion, "Huh? What about food?" Her friend doesn't miss a beat, placing a hand on her shoulder to usher her forward, declaring that there is simply no more time and they must head straight to school. The atmosphere shifts from the breezy outdoors to the sterile, tense environment of a corporate office. The two girls are now seated across a large, dark wooden desk, facing a middle-aged executive known as Director Ye. The pink-haired girl, taking the lead, leans forward with a look of serious concern. She reminds the director of their previous arrangement, her voice steady as she questions him. "Director Ye, didn't we agree last time that there would be products tomorrow night?" The weight of the situation hangs heavy in the air, a sharp contrast to their earlier morning rush. Director Ye, a stout man in a formal dark suit and tie, sits back in his chair with a dismissive wave of his hand. His eyes are narrowed, and his expression is one of cold professionalism, devoid of empathy. He delivers the bad news with clinical detachment, explaining that his company has just secured a large order. He flatly informs the young women that their advertisement will be delayed, stating ruthlessly, "I cannot because of a small advertisement of yours that lose a large customer." To him, their project is a minor inconvenience compared to a bigger paycheck. Insulted and desperate, the pink-haired girl stands her ground, her face flushing with a mix of anger and shock. Her eyes narrow as she stares down the director, her shadow falling across her face to emphasize her fury. She isn't backing down from the corporate bullying. "Our agreement has been signed legally," she retorts sharply, her voice trembling with indignation. "You want to breach the contract." Beside her, her friend remains quiet, but wears a look of deep worry, realizing that their simple school day plans have spiraled into a high-stakes legal battle over their future. The atmosphere in the room turned cold as the older man, seated behind his desk, threw his hands up in a gesture of dismissive indifference. With a weary and somewhat cynical expression, he offered a blunt ultimatum. "If you don't want to, I can return the deposit." His attitude suggested that he was more than willing to walk away from the deal if it meant avoiding further headaches. The young woman with vibrant pink hair, tied back in a high ponytail, gasped in indignation. Her face was flushed with anger, her eyes wide as she glared at the man. "You, what a mess!" she cried out, her voice trembling with frustration at the sudden turn of events and the unprofessionalism of the situation. Before she could continue her protest, a new presence made himself known. A tall, sharp-looking man stood leaning against the doorway, his arms folded across his chest in a relaxed yet commanding posture. He wore a dark, stylish blazer over a patterned white t-shirt, looking every bit the part of a confident observer. "You will not be beautiful if you quarrel," he remarked smoothly, his voice cutting through the tension with a hint of condescension. As he shifted his weight, he continued his verbal assault, looking down upon the pink-haired woman and the small office they occupied. "Moreover, find a small company like this just to advertise." He trailed off, the implication clear. He found the entire endeavor beneath them. Stepping further into the light, his face was revealed, handsome but etched with a cold, mocking smirk. His eyes narrowed as he targeted the woman's professional concerns. "Don't you afraid that the product quality is too bad, so that cannot to use?" he asked, his tone dripping with sarcasm. It was a calculated jab, designed to mock both her choice of business partners and the validity of her project.
In the first scene, a tense atmosphere fills the office of the Tang Fei Company. An older executive, dressed in a formal gray suit and blue tie, sits behind his desk with a look of utter indignation. He points a sharp, accusing finger toward the doorway, where a mysterious young man has just appeared. The executive shouts in a defensive rage, telling the stranger to get out, and boasting that his company is renowned for its high quality and unparalleled productivity. The young man stands calmly in the threshold, arms crossed, seemingly unimpressed by the executive's bluster. The focus shifts to a close-up of the young man, revealing a sharp, handsome face framed by dark purple hair. A confident, almost predatory smirk plays on his lips as his violet eyes lock onto the executive. He repeats the words, "high productivity," with heavy sarcasm. He mocks the company's claims, pointing out the absurdity of a small advertising project taking several days to complete. To him, the special productivity the executive brags about is nothing more than a sign of incompetence. The tension escalates as the executive loses his cool entirely. He stands between the young man and a young woman with long pink hair, who looks on with a mixture of shock and curiosity. The executive's face is contorted with anger as he barks out a vulgar demand to know who this stranger is and why he is talking nonsense. While the older man is fuming, the young man remains stoic, looking down at the executive with cold, calculated indifference. The scene cuts to a tighter shot of the trio. The pink-haired woman is visibly distressed, clutching her hands to her chest. She expresses her deep concern, fearing that if she leaves to find another company now, they will run out of time for the project. Amidst her worry, the young man's voice cuts through the panic. With absolute certainty, he makes a bold declaration. Just one day, everything will be done. His confidence stands in stark contrast to the executive's frustration and the woman's desperation. In the final frame, the narrative takes a subtle, suspenseful turn. The camera focuses on the young man's hand as he reaches into his trouser pocket. He is seen pulling out a sleek black smartphone. This silent gesture suggests he is about to take action, perhaps to make a call or reveal evidence that will back up his ambitious claim and likely change the fate of the Tang Fei Company in a single afternoon. With the smartphone pressed to his ear, the young man's expression remains cold and unwavering. He ignores the chaos around him and speaks a single, chilling command into the receiver. "Bring the boss of Tang Fei Company here in half an hour." Beside him, the pink-haired woman watches in stunned silence, her eyes wide as she realizes this stranger possesses a level of power that far exceeds anyone in the room. Amidst the verbal warfare, a subtle moment of connection occurs. The young man reaches out and firmly grasps the woman's hand, leading her with a sense of protective calm. This small but significant gesture signals that she is now under his protection, and despite the uncertainty of the situation, he is taking full control of her predicament. The executive, now back in his chair but still seething with disbelief, attempts to call the young man's bluff. He scoffs at the phone call, claiming that their boss is away on vacation and is far too important to meet someone so insignificant. He doubles down on his hostility, flatly refusing to accept the woman's order and sneeringly suggesting they find another company to do their business. Refusing to be intimidated or driven out, the young man pulls the woman down to sit beside him on a nearby sofa. They wait in a heavy, expectant silence.
The young man sits with a relaxed but commanding posture, his eyes closed, as if he is merely waiting for the inevitable. The woman sits close to him, looking towards the executive with a mixture of apprehension and budding hope, while the word "not look" hangs in the air, emphasizing their total disregard for the executive's presence. Unable to handle being ignored in his own domain, the executive erupts in a final frantic display of authority. He lunges forward, his face flushed with rage as he screams at the top of his lungs. He calls the young man a damn kid and demands to know if he is deaf, violently asserting that this is his office and that they are absolutely not welcome. The background blurs into streaks of motion, reflecting his spiraling loss of control as the 30-minute deadline looms. Tension snaps into physical action as a hand slams down onto the polished surface of the desk with a resonant bop. The force of the impact is captured in the sharp motion lines vibrating through the wood. It is a gesture of dominance intended to silence any opposition, signaling that the time for polite conversation has ended and the moment of enforced reality has begun. The atmosphere in the room turns frostbound as the dark-haired man gazes forward with a chilling, impenetrable expression. His eyes, sharp and unforgiving, are partially veiled by a dark shadow, emphasizing his mounting displeasure. Underneath the bold crimson text that screams coldly, his voice likely drops to a lethal whisper, projecting an aura of absolute authority and disdain that leaves no room for negotiation. The focus shifts to the man's chest, where his expensive blazer and casual yet refined attire mark him as a person of significant status. He speaks with a calm, terrifying confidence, his words captured in a stark bubble. There's the contract here. It's not your turn to say you want to get it or not. He isn't asking for permission. He is stating an irrevocable fact, reminding his opponent that they are bound by the ink on the page. On the receiving end of this intimidation, an older man in a formal suit stands paralyzed. His face is a mask of shock and indignation, sweat beading on his forehead as he stammers out a single, breathless word, "You." He is caught between outrage and the sudden crushing realization that he has been outmaneuvered by a younger, more ruthless lion. The scene settles into a deceptive, quiet intimacy. The dark-haired man leans back, a lit cigarette held between his fingers, while a pink-haired woman stands closely beside him, lighting it with a steady hand. Despite the closeness, there is a lingering melancholy or coldness in the air. His gaze is downward, distant and brooding, while she remains a silent, dutiful shadow at his side, the calm after a social storm. The scene opens with a young woman, her hair tied in playful pigtails and wearing a casual graphic tee, watching the unfolding events with a mix of confusion and awe. Her internal monologue reveals her fascination. Mr. Bei Ming's movements are very natural and smooth, feeling like he has done this job a lot of times. Despite her puzzled expression, indicated by the question marks floating near her head, she recognizes the practiced grace of a man who is no stranger to high-stakes power plays. Mr. Bei Ming himself exudes an air of detached arrogance as he takes a long draw from his cigarette. Wisps of white smoke curl around his sharp features and purple-tinted hair, framing a gaze that is calm yet piercing. He carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who has already won the game, even as those around him struggle to keep up with his pace. Across from him, the older executive begrudgingly takes his seat, his face contorted with a mixture of irritation and suppressed rage. As he settles down under the command, "Sit down," his thoughts are venomous. This damn kid obviously wants to show his brave in front of those women. He convinces himself that he is merely humoring the younger man for now, thinking, fine, I'll bear him for a while if the boss doesn't show up, to see how he'll say it. The camera focuses on a sleek, minimalist black clock mounted on a marble-textured wall. The hands mark the passage of time, heightening the suspense in the silent room. Every second that ticks by is a heavy reminder that a deadline is approaching, or that someone of great importance, the boss mentioned by the executive, is expected to arrive at any moment.
Suddenly, the silence is shattered by the sound of rapid, heavy footsteps. The focus shifts to a pair of black dress shoes moving at a frantic pace across the floor, accompanied by the bold red sound effect, rush. The blurred motion lines suggest an urgent arrival, indicating that the power dynamic in the room is about to be shifted once again by someone entering in a great hurry. The scene opens with a tense atmosphere in a corporate office. A man in a blue blazer, appearing disheveled and frantic, bursts through the door with an "open" sound effect echoing behind him. He points aggressively at someone off-screen, his face twisted in a sneer of false bravado. He taunts a kid, thinking he has the upper hand, mockingly telling them not to think that bringing a stranger for help will scare him. He believes he is the one in control, unaware of the storm brewing just inside the room. As the man steps further into the room, he freezes. The focus shifts to a middle-aged executive with slicked-back hair and a thin mustache. The executive's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Against a background of jagged, blue psychological shock lines, he stammers uncontrollably. His eyes are wide with disbelief as he realizes who is sitting on his sofa. "Boss, why do you come back here?" he asks, his voice trembling as his world begins to crumble. The perspective widens to reveal the source of the executive's fear. Sitting calmly on the white leather sofa is a young, striking man with dark purple hair and piercing eyes. He sits with an air of absolute authority, one arm draped protectively behind a pink-haired girl who is focused on a book. The boss is the picture of cool composure, a sharp contrast to the panicked men standing before him. The office, once a place of safety for the underlings, has now become a seat of judgment. The bravado from the first scene has completely vanished. Both the man in the blue blazer and the mustached executive are now doubled over in deep, submissive bows. Their faces are beaded with sweat, and their expressions are filled with regret. The executive pleaded desperately, claiming he had no idea that Mr. Bei Ming was visiting the company. He apologizes profusely for his failure to welcome him properly, his earlier arrogance replaced by a desperate need for forgiveness. Above them, the word "amazing" hangs in the air, highlighting the sheer absurdity of their sudden shift in attitude. The final scene focuses on the enigmatic Mr. Bei Ming. He looks toward the girl beside him, his expression softening slightly but remaining firm. He doesn't even spare a glance for the men groveling at his feet. Instead, he focuses on the business at hand, asking the girl how she wants to handle the advertising. "Just tell him straight," he says, signaling that the games are over. He has the power to decide their fate with a single word, and the room remains silent, waiting for the final verdict.
The desperate plea for service. The man in the blue blazer, his earlier arrogance completely extinguished, now leans forward with an expression of anxious eagerness. A bead of sweat rolls down his temple as he tries to salvage his position by offering his absolute devotion to the young lady. His hands are raised in a placating gesture, his voice a frantic pitch of forced politeness as he begs her to tell him exactly how she wants the advertising handled. He offers a hollow guarantee of total satisfaction, his eyes searching hers for even the slightest hint of forgiveness. The lady's assertive response.
Rather than being intimidated by the sudden shift in atmosphere, the pink-haired lady stands tall, radiating a newfound confidence. She points a firm finger toward Director Ye, her expression calm and composed. She clearly states that all her requests have already been relayed and that the crucial blueprints are already in his possession. Internally, she marvels at the scene before her. She hadn't expected the stoic Bei Ming Ye to be so remarkably cool and authoritative this time, an act that has made her feel unexpectedly comfortable and protected. Confirming the order. The focus shifts to the two men, who now look small and vulnerable under the weight of the instructions. The executive with the mustache looks down, his face a mask of worry and submission. Beside him, the man in the blue blazer quickly affirms his understanding, his voice a series of rapid-fire yeses as he clutches the blueprints. He repeats that everything is in his hands and that he has fully grasped the gravity of the task. The final directive. The scene concludes with a heavy, unspoken pressure hanging over the two subordinates. As they stand side by side, still visibly shaken and perspiring, a final sharp question cuts through the air. Did you clear what you should do? It is a chilling reminder that there is no room for error. Their earlier mistakes have placed them on a razor's edge, and their only path forward is to execute the lady's blueprint with absolute perfection.